Welcome to the Sporting Chance. This podcast is brought to you by Midnight Falconry, makers of high-quality falconry leashes and jesses. Check them out at midnightfalconry.com. Ashley Clark Falconry, the highest quality leather falconry equipment, handmade in England, built to last and looks damn good while you're at it. Check them out at aclarkfalconry.co.uk. Be sure and use the code SportingChance10 at checkout. North Mountain Goshawks. Seth Roy is breeding high-quality, true parent-reared goshawks in addition to imprint goshawks on order. Check him out at northmountaingoshawks.com. All right, welcome everybody to the Sporting Chance podcast. I'm Aaron Kincaid.
And I'm your co-host, Casey Everett, and we are joined by Derik Remley. He's a farmer. He has a master's degree in animal science. He flies goshawks, red tails, merlins, many different birds, and runs and is a big part of his family's farm. They have some ridiculous number of acres, many head of cattle. Yeah, he's a really interesting guy, and we're really excited to have him on. Derik, thank you for being here with us.
Thank you for the invitation.
Derik, how long have you been doing falconry?
This will be this coming season will be my 6th year. Flew obviously the 2 red tails in the beginning, and then as soon as I got my general license, I had a male goshawk, pure North American. Got him. All my goshawks I got from Seth.
Seth Roy of North Mountain Goshawks.
Yes. Highly suggest anyone looking for a goshawk go to him. He knows everything about goshawks inside and out. But anyways, so I flew a male Tiercel. He was a good bird. I had him on doves, and we were hunting right outside my house. My dad just come by in the cornfield, so I knew there were doves in there. Goshawk took off, went up into the tree. He was a little heavy. He didn't come down that night. I was like, no big deal. I have telemetry. The next day, I'll just go down and get him. Woke up that next morning. My telemetry was pointing right towards the tree. I'm like, yep, I'll go bring him down right away. When I got to the tree, I couldn't find him. And I happened to look down, and there was his body remains. I'm guessing an owl killed him.
Oh, my God, dude.
Yeah. And then I flew that female North American. Great bird again, parent rear, North American. And we were hunting, and my dog kicked out a rabbit out of a bush. Rabbit takes off. Rabbit tries to go underneath this little pole barn shed type thing. My hawk never put the brakes on, smacked against the building, broke her leg. I went and got her surgery. Everything went well. Got her. I had to pick up the hawk every day and bend her leg, physical therapy.
Oh, that's always
didn't
great.
mind doing that. Yeah. The hawk loved that, as you can imagine.
Goshawks love
But
that.
I had to. I had no choice. It was that or the leg would lock up. Then it definitely wouldn't have been any good, so I didn't have a choice. And then we finally got going again, and her leg was healed. Just did basic 3-inch training for a while, get her conditioned back up. Then I started taking her out hunting again. We killed 2 rabbits, and then we went out hunting again. Dog kicked out a rabbit. Goshawk took off. I heard her smack the brush, and then when I went up to her, the same leg was broke again, and that's when I just called it. I wasn't going to do that to it again.
Yeah, at that point, you gave her every chance at that point to.
Yeah, and I know that was a lot. I know some people were like, oh, I would have just, euthanized it, whatever. I wanted to give it a chance. I did everything I could, but I wasn't going to put it through it again because birds' bones are brittle how it is.
Yeah.
If you're fortunate enough to fix it one time, if it happens again, it's now.
Yeah, man.
Then this last year, I just took it easy. Oh no, sorry. And then I had the Aplomatos, very fun birds. I flew a Merlin the year before.
And you've been busy in 6 years.
Yeah,
dude.
I'm fortunate. I have starlings out the ass.
I was just gonna. That's what I was just gonna say. You got to see where this kid lives.
When I flew him twice a day. I would go up in the morning. Some days, if I wasn't too pinched for time, we'd kill starlings, feed them up a little bit, be done with work, and do it again. I could go to the same spot and just I always refer it to my friends like going to a pond. Like the first couple bluegills are fun, but then after a while you start catching so many, you're just like, okay, I'm over this. That's kind of what that's kind of how it got. And I kind of ruined it for myself because like it got to the point where like they didn't fail. Like I knew how to do it. Like either I could slip them and they just knew what to do, or I could car hawk them if I wanted to.
Yeah.
But where I live, once it got brutally cold, they didn't have the same desire a Merlin had.
The Aplomatos you're referring to.
Yeah, they didn't
So
have the cold seemed to bother them where the Merlin did.
right. Can you,
How cold
Derek?
are we talking? Sorry
Oh
to
yeah,
interrupt, Casey.
no, go ahead.
I'd say below 20 degrees.
Okay. Harris Hawks. Yeah, I know people that fly Harris Hawks in cold places, but down here, whenever someone that flies Harris Hawks experiences really cold weather, they say the same thing.
Yeah,
They kind of lose that drive, and
but I'll tell you what the
actually
Aplomatos.
both come from the same place.
Yep. The one thing I did really love about them, their personalities were awesome. It's like going in a parrot, dude. Like they were so well mannered. They knew. I think I heard Harris Hawks are smart. They knew what the game was. I had a perch for my truck. I didn't even have to tether them nothing. Like they after a while they knew the game and it was fun. And they were just very social. They liked to be. I felt like they actually liked to be like in the house on the perches and stuff like that. Just different, cool. They were a fun experience.
It's like a killer parrot.
Yeah.
Derek, tell us. Okay, so I've been to your place, right? But like, can you describe? Because I could describe where you live, and growing up in that kind of an environment, you may not really think of it as anything that's like out of the ordinary. But for somebody from me and the majority of falconers that live in like residential areas, you essentially you live in a town that is owned by your family's farm, essentially.
So, so like basically how our area works, there's a couple really big farmers that have pretty much either rent or own all the ground. There's like 3 to 5 of us, I would say. And
Yeah.
We're just fortunate that like, and even the hunting camp, like the hunting camps own a lot of the big properties around us too, that the farmers rent the ground. We're just fortunate. The owners of the property kept this area so wild, so like Casey, wouldn't you agree? Like you can hardly even tell there's people living.
Yeah, no, we're just driving on like a dirt road that just keeps going and going and going. And there's like a house on the right, and I'm like, "Who lives there?" He's like, "Oh, that's one of our houses, and somebody that works on the farm lives in that house. We allow them to live in the house." And then you turn down another street and drive on there for like 20 minutes, and on the left and the right is all their property. You come out of the woods, you drive up on a big knoll, this beautiful view. There's a giant. I just remember there's a giant like Angus bull with like 25 or 30 cows around him. And I'm like, holy crap. I'm like, whose are those? You're like, oh, those are ours. We're going to get ready to bring him in. And we've been driving for like 30 minutes. Then Derek actually took me to like this big point on the property, like this big ridge. It's actually, you could probably set up a nice blind there and do some trapping. He goes, okay. So he's like, I'm not trying to like brag or anything like that. It's cool. He goes, so basically if you turn in 365 degrees around where we're standing, everything that your eye can see is owned by our farm. And I'm just like, holy crap, dude. This is like, it's like the craziest thing. So basically Derek has like an unlimited supply of like hawking fields. And, I'm not trying to take the words out of your mouth, but it was just like, just being there. It was just like, and then you pull down and there's like a house, another house, a giant barn, then another house. And I'm like, oh, what is this little town called? You're like, oh, this is where we this is where we take the beef in and we feed them on grain, depending on what our clients want. It's like, I'm like, so you own all this too? They're like, he's like, well, yeah, I guess. I'm like, oh my God, it's just phenomenal.
Yeah, we're very fortunate. Very fortunate.
So what kind of game you got up there?
Honestly, rabbits. Like I've never killed a squirrel with any of my hawks. I've never even had the chance on my property to do it. Like I'm not like one of them guys that like, oh, I'm not gonna hawk the tree rats or like I would love to hunt them if I had them. I just don't have them. But I try to manage our properties to hold rabbits consistently. I try and do at least 2 or 3 properties a year, like find like a piece that we're not farming and never will be farmed and like either brush hog it or maybe its forest is too mature and there's no brush for animals to live. Well, then me and my dad will go in and cut it down, make habitat. And I like it because if you give them habitat and you have even a couple rabbits, you see your return on your hard work very quickly is if the habitat's there.
Are you doing any planting of any kind of like shrubs, or you're just letting nature take its course?
Primarily let nature take its course. We do have some switchgrass fields that they were fields that we farmed, but the productivity of the fields wasn't really there to justify doing it. So I was just like, hey, why don't we just plant something in there to hold game, because you don't really make anything farming off of it. And we have a couple fields that we did that with. But honestly, I've tried hawking them and stuff, and they just don't really seem to go in there. Like to be honest with you, my best spots are my fence rows and like our crepe ground that's like a nice parcel, like a 4 to 5 acre piece that's been groomed for like 3 to 5 years. That's the kind of stuff I like to hunt. And like I really try, once again, because I'm fortunate of the ground that we own, I really only try and hawk one spot once a year, and that's it.
Wow.
That's pretty cool.
And like I don't hunt just 2-3 times a day. Like when I'm hawking rabbits, I'll hawk every day if the weather's good. Like I mean, sometimes I have to overlap, but like I really try not to, because like I was never the type of person for hunting anything to just kill every single one. Like,
right.
If you do that, you don't have any. You go back and then people are then you're disappointed why you don't have any. Well, what do you expect? You kill them all off and then go back there and wonder why there's nothing there. Like, I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah, man, that's a huge pro tip for falconers listening. Is just because you got a good field, man, that doesn't mean you have to go there every day of the season. And I see guys that I personally know.
Yeah.
Aaron knows them also. And
yeah.
they'll take 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 15 rabbits out of one field. And it's going to bite you in the ass. It really is.
Yeah.
You're gonna go back in there. You're not going to be happy.
Yeah. I think I'm like a 2, maybe 3 rabbit. Like if I'm fortunate enough to kill that many in like one day hunting with the hawk, that's like, I'm very, very, very content with that. Honestly, like I don't need to, like, I have more satisfaction being able to go out every single day or whenever I go out hawking. And I know if the weather's right, I'm going to see a rabbit and I'm going to see a flush, and my hawk's going to have an opportunity to go after game. I would much rather have that than have a half dozen to 10 spots and just obliterate it. Because I think, what's the fun of hunting the same spot time after time after
That's
time?
true. Yeah.
I just don't see. I just don't see the fun. I like the challenge of going to a new spot, seeing if your dogs can find anything, and everything, like, as often as you can, because I think it makes your dogs better too.
So you're hunting one spot. Different. You hunt one spot, catch 2 or 3 things, and then you switch to a new spot. You don't come back until next year.
Or like let's say I hawked today and I hawked a small two fence rows and that connected to a little brush line, because I have lots of them. If I only kill one rabbit there, I'm done. Like I'll go to the next spot. Now, like if I have deep snows and stuff, and there's many, like if we have a deep snow, there's many spots I can't get to. So like then I have no choice. But that's a different story, because like I'm kind of forced to go to the spots I can actually go to.
So you have hundreds of spots that you guys own.
Easily. I created a lot of those spots. Like it doesn't take much, like, to create even just an hour hunt for your hawk. Like to just go out, if you can just make a little bit of habitat for them. That's all it takes to hold just one or a couple rabbits here and there. And like if you do that in enough spots, it adds up.
Yeah, when I was young, my sponsor Phil, we used to hit a spot, and while the bird was up in the tree, he used to make me run around the forest floor and collect sticks and leaves and brush and broken branches, and I would make piles all over the place. And it was like, and I was always like kind of annoyed, because I'm like, dude, let's go. The dogs are, like, let's go. And he's like, just take a second and do it. And the funniest thing was when I went back, like the next year, and we hit that spot, and the dogs go in that brush pile that we made with our bare hands and flushed a rabbit out of it, and the birds smoked it. I was like, he's like, see? He's like, just give them somewhere to get to. Give them somewhere to hide.
Yeah. And that's why I like managing the Eastern Cottontail so much, is because it really doesn't take much. And you can see your you can see your reward from your hard work so fast if you
So,
just give them a little bit.
yeah, man, you got to give him a little bit. And so now I know you personally. We talk and stuff. So
Yeah.
I'm gonna. So like, not only does Derik spend time creating land, habitat for his prey base that he wants, he stays up all night long. Can you talk about what you do all night long in the winter?
Oh yes. So
It's like
I'm a big predator hunter. Very
big
I
is
don't,
an understatement.
like me and my buddy, we easily shoot 100 a year consistently.
That's insane.
100
Yeah.
what?
Now, grant fox, coyote, bobcat. We normally always tag out in bobcat every year.
Jeez, using calls and stuff.
Yeah, callers. Yeah, my buddy actually, I was there with him when we killed it this year. He killed a 41-pound bobcat.
Holy crap!
That's about as big as they get.
Jeez, and they're just coming.
But
They're
yeah,
just coming in to the call at night in the dark. And what do you have, like night vision, or you have red?
Just red light.
Red light. Can you use night vision or no?
Oh, yep, you can. The problem with it is like all the videos you see, like the badass videos of like guys hunting coyotes and stuff with the thermal or night vision, they're in big open country, like where they can see them things coming a ways away. So you can set up where like we hunt a lot of small brush lots that like you don't you might have 2 or 3 seconds to react by the time your light hits that fox's eyes and by the time the fox takes off.
Right.
So you really don't have a lot of time. You don't have the time like the guys out west do that are hunting them big open prairies where they can see them coyotes with them thermals and night vision like 700-800 yards away.
So they're popping out through the brush and you're flicking the light on. Is the light always on, or are you flicking it on when you hear something?
So I have a light for my hat. It's a scan light. It's nowhere near as bright as the light on my gun. It's just enough that it can pick up eyes. That's all the brightness it is. And then as soon as let's say I see eyes like 100 yards away, well, then I'll get set up. And then when it's about like 50, 60 yards or less, then I turn my kill light on. And then if it acts like it's going to run away or it gives me an opportunity when it stops moving, then I drop it right there.
And you're not using thermals?
No.
Do you own thermals?
Nope.
You got to.
I wish I did.
You got to call Euro Optics and see if they can hook you up.
For sure. No, I've hunted with guys who have thermal and they're badass. Like they're nice. Like they're like, especially you buy like a really good one, you can clearly identify what animal it is.
I want to start scouting for rabbits with thermal.
Oh yeah, good idea.
Yep. They make thermal scanners. That would be great for that, and they're not terribly expensive.
No, the ones I've seen are the Pulsar. I think it's Axiom 2. It's like a little thermal monocular. You can record video with it. Is that what you're talking about?
It's exactly what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I think they're like $2,000. It's a lot of money to find more rabbits, but I think it'd be nice. I think it'd be nice if you could hit a field and one that you frequent, check it out at night and see how many rabbits are actually there. Because we don't
never
really
thought to do that. Yeah. I mean, I will tell you this. You would be amazed when we set up at night, like at a field or something, somewhere where there's rabbits, that when we turn the lights on, there's rabbits there, and then you blare on your caller like a rabbit in distress. Those fuckers don't even move. Like they don't even act like anything's wrong. No.
Wow. That's so interesting.
They're just like, sucks to be him.
Like same with deer, the amount of big buck we've like came to a spot and set up and stuff, and we turn our lights on and they're right there, and we blare the caller. Like you would think the second that caller comes on, any living prey animal would run for the hills and take off, but it honestly doesn't seem to bother them at all.
Yeah, probably used to it. What are you running in terms of guns? Using like an AR?
No, I just run a bolt action 17 Hornet.
So if you don't hit it,
I'm not fancy at all.
Yeah, no, that's your vibe. You're like the most unassuming, like chill, laid back, and then you take me to your place and I'm like, holy shit. It's just like, so all right. So you go to shoot, right? If you miss, how often do you miss? And are you able to rack another one?
Very rarely.
Yeah, I would imagine.
And because and that's like my whole like PA, just not like last year, like several years ago, they made it legal to predator hunt with semi-automatics, it's a waste of time. Because like you're lucky to get a bullet off, let alone anything past that. Because the minute you shoot 90% of the time, them fuckers are taking off so fast you can't even keep up with your light to keep on them. Like we don't use tripods either. This is all freehand.
Well, you just are you laying down? You're standing up?
Standing up. Like we normally have, like we don't like to walk, like because if we run a whole night predator hunting, we'll go, I don't know, 25 to 40 spots. So we can't be parking and walking 200-300 yards to a spot. Like most of our spots, we park and we're walking like 50 to 60 yards off the road, and that's it. Like so our spots, like we can hit more spots. The more spots you go, no different than anything. The more opportunities you have, the more luck you have, and that's how we do it.
Now, what's the most that you and your buddy have taken in one night, or you have taken in one night?
We've killed 40.
I remember if anybody listening doesn't follow Derik on Facebook, every now and then he'll throw up a picture of like the bed of the pickup truck just like completely filled with raccoons, but not so much bobcats, but mostly coyotes and fox. And it's just like completely filled, and they're standing there like in white camo in the snow. I'm like, yo, these guys are like taking their protection of their rabbit fields to another level. Like that's how you keep. Because think about how many the foxes will take them, right? But is it the coyotes that's more the problem with the rabbits?
Absolutely not. I'll tell you what the problem is, and you know what the problem is.
Ooh, I know what the problem is.
We can talk about,
bro. Just you could say it in a vague way that if your cat,
a relative to a bobcat, we'll just say a relative to a bobcat, is the number one problem. And I'll just leave it at that.
Do you see a lot of those at your place?
Used to.
This guy's my hero. He's my hero.
Honestly, that would be my biggest tip of advice for whoever's listening to read in between the lines. If you have any of them, get rid of them. Because I took advice from that actually. I don't remember who told me, but someone told me. I asked them, like, why don't I have rabbits, but I don't really have them, like where they're abundant. And they were like, yeah, take care of that problem and you'll see a difference. And I did it for 1 year and I could not tell you the increase.
Night and day?
Yeah, it's like night and day.
Jeez, man. But yeah, they got to go.
I
think that could be a good summertime activity at our spots.
It's a good 365 day, let's go cruising around the farm kind of thing.
Yeah, dude. That's
I'm a big believer in that too.
I mean, like they're a wild animal, and people just don't get it, and they don't have to get it. I really don't care, but
me neither.
Yeah, they kill more rabbits than fox and coyote.
Okay, that's a big statement. That's
Casey. I got a question for you.
Yeah,
Derik, I would ask you this, but you don't slum it up like me and Casey and hit industrial lots and things like that.
That's a big, like, anytime I go to a meet, that is so, like, it's so weird to me. Like, I go to a spot, I just start trudging through wherever I want to go. Like, I don't think of any of that. Like, when I go hunting, I'm going hunting. And then, like, I remember the one time I went down with my sponsor who lives in Williamsport, like, kind of like the suburbs / city life. We're hawking, like, these backyards and stuff. I just go trudging through them like I own the place. And he's like, you got to stop doing that. You can't act like you own all this place. You're going to call the cops on us. I'm just like, dude, I'm just not used to this.
Yeah.
So I'll tell you a story and you tell me if this has happened to you, Casey.
Okay.
I took my daughter to the hospital. They sent her home from preschool with a little cold. No big deal. And then when we got done, we were beside this like really beautiful looking field, perfect rabbit spot. So I put her on my side and I'm carrying her over there, taking a look, and I'm not seeing any rabbit sign whatsoever. And really, I'm not hearing any birds or anything for that matter. And then I see off in the distance this Rubbermaid container turned over on its, kind of flipped over. Yep. I go over and check it out, and it's got a hole cut in it, and it's full of hay.
Yeah.
And then I look and I see another. I see another. I find them full of cat food. I find them, with bedding inside. I find little waterers, everything. So it was a feral cat colony.
Yep.
And because that feral cat colony was there, there was not a shred of wildlife in what should have been full of wildlife.
Mhm.
Wasn't.
Nope. Yeah, I have that happen to me on a regular basis. Yeah. I mean, I can't even count the amount of times that and this is the part that really irritates me. And this is why I have zero sympathy for people who let these relatives of bobcats wander the countryside killing at will is the amount of hours and blood, sweat, and tears that I've put in beating brush all day long with my bird following along perfectly, not to put one single slip up, to come around the edge of a hedgerow and see 30 cat boxes with food and water. There's nothing on this earth that makes me that angry than when I see that. You know what I'm saying? Like it's literally like it makes me so infuriated that I just want to go crazy.
Man.
Like I want to hide out and wait for the people come to replenish the food and water and allegedly,
have a civil conversation with them.
Yeah,
And,
like how is it legal?
And like the part I don't understand, like coyotes get such a bad reputation for themselves. Oh, they kill all this stuff. They kill all this stuff. They really just kill for what they need. Them that same animal that we're talking about, they don't just kill to eat. They'll wipe. That's why they're so invasive, and they'll just wipe out anything. Like you said, a really good area that you think, oh my gosh, we're gonna kill some stuff today, produces nothing.
Yeah.
You're seeing them cat boxes and stuff. You'll never. It wouldn't matter how many brush piles you'd ever make. You're not gonna have them.
No.
Yeah, they're going to kill every baby rabbit. They may not be able to catch the adults, but they will break the life cycle, and the adults will get killed off by owls or hawks, and maybe the occasional cat. But all the babies will die.
The good thing about coyotes will kill them too, I think, which is almost a good thing, that they'll take them out. But yeah, I was on a walk with my wife, and she was pregnant with our first child, and we're walking, and we would go there every day after work to walk. And there's this freaking like young cat, like it was like a kitten, and it's just walking along the edge of this spot, which I've hit in the wintertime when no one's walking, and it just crouches and just darts forward in this blur of speed and grabs like a medium-sized rabbit by the throat. The rabbit's freaking spazzing out, and then it just looks at us and just walks into the brush with this rabbit. And I told my wife, I said, that's why I hate these suckers so much, because that was a rabbit that was going to feed an owl, another hawk, some other animal, and now this somebody's house cat just took it out of the equation from other animals to eat. It's just ridiculous.
And like what I was getting at with like the whole coyote, like coyotes have a bad name for themselves. So do wild pigs. So do ball pythons down in Florida. Everyone wants to get rid of them because of how invasive they are. Now, that same topic that we're talking about, how is that any different?
It's not any different, I mean? And it's even worse.
It's the same, exactly. And I just don't understand why that topic is such a gray area.
Oh yeah, and
I just don't get it.
Yeah, and if you, God forbid, do what the guys in the Everglades do with the problem we have here, you're going straight to jail, or you're getting arrested. Either way, it's going to end badly for you if you take matters into your own hands, removing this feral invasive species from our hunting fields and our ecosystem. If you even think about doing it or even mention it, you're having PETA at your front door knocking your door down. And the only reason why that this continues is because of organizations like PETA and like crazy cat ladies that are obsessed with these it's just like they'll string us up if I sign the wrong piece of paper on my document with my my bird of prey. God forbid I catch the wrong thing in the wrong place and I happen to put it in my bag. I'm going to court now. But this thing, you can cut this thing loose on the landscape and it can kill indiscriminately with zero repercussions. I personally feel that it should be a felony to let your cat loose in the neighborhood.
Well, like in Australia, it is. And I agree with you. It should be.
It should be. Yeah, it should be. Yeah. It's ridiculous. It's just so yes. Okay. So you don't necessarily have that problem on your farm anymore. So you don't see any. So you see a dramatic increase in your game, and man, that's
there's no arguing it. There's no arguing. Like we had a farm So our like go back like 12, 14 years ago, we had a really good, not like overabundant, just stable population of ruffed grouse. Like on our one road, it'd be nothing in the springtime to see a half dozen males on the road drumming.
Oh, that's
Okay.
cool.
But
That's
as the
incredible.
landowners, as the landowners, we kind of got neglectful and we didn't timber our woods, and our woods got too mature and not enough cover, and our grouse population went down. Well, we had them timber it like I think it's almost 5 years ago, and like the one property where I really took care of that major invasive species problem, I had a grouse with chicks go right through the yard of the property.
Wow, that's so cool, man. That is
Yeah,
so cool.
And that
yeah.
could
So
never
like
happen with invasive predators there.
never. It'll just never happen. Same with like, did you guys see PA just they released bobwhite quail back into the wild?
Oh, really? No, I didn't see that. No, that's
Yeah,
awesome.
this was like a month ago, probably something like that. They were working on in this county. I think it was Franklin County. Don't quote me on that though. The last like 10 years they've been grooming the whole property just specifically for bobwhite quail habitat, and they worked with a couple other states. I think it was like Virginia, maybe Georgia, and I think one other one. And they trapped wild ones in and brought them in. I'll be curious to see if that project falls through too. Like just because we were talking about helping prey species, habitat, the whole 9 yards.
Yeah, I would wonder. I wonder if the PA Fish and Wildlife Organization are removing invasive relatives of bobcats from that
Yep.
area they're planning. I wonder if they are. You know what I'm saying? You know?
I
Yeah.
think you know the
It's
answer.
hard. Yeah, and I'll be like,
Yeah.
yeah. But no, I just think when it boils down to it, if you do nothing, don't expect anything. That's my whole take on keeping the game around so that as a falconer or small game hunter or whatever, you can be successful and not have to hunt for hours and hours and hours and hours and just find one.
Yeah, man. Yeah, unfortunately that's a reality for a lot of falconers throughout the country is finding good locations, maintaining those locations, not over hunting those locations. But one thing I did want to go back on, because this is a topic, and a lot of falconers, I would say that falconers are a little bit more, eco-friendly and a little bit more aware
Yep.
of certain things than like, your average gun hunter that's out there. When you say that you're timbering your land, there's people out there that'll get all up in arms that you're cutting, these 100-year-old trees down and you're removing them. Can you explain to us, because I know you have an expertise in this, from your schooling and everything that you do.
Yeah.
Why would somebody want to remove a very mature forest from a plot of land that they own?
Timbering we'll call it a mature forest, allows when you move those trees that are blocking the sun from hitting the canopy, when you remove those trees, it allows all those seeds for the last however many years that didn't have a chance to grow because of not having sunlight. Well, when you open the canopy floor, it just makes the canopy just explode with new growth, brush, all whatever was growing in there or was trying to grow but couldn't because it was lacking sunlight.
Okay. All right. So
It's funny you mentioned that. I live in North Carolina, and there's the Pisgah National Forest is here. There's a movie called Last of the Mohicans. Have you guys ever seen it?
Love that movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's where it was filmed, is the Pisgah National Forest. And
Wow.
there's these huge mature forests. There's very little new growth. It's just big mature forest. It's an absolutely beautiful place, but there's no life there whatsoever.
Yep. And that's just because like nothing can, like none of the small game can live if there's no cover. It doesn't matter what state you're in,
Not even the big game.
They gotta, yep.
I mean, there are bears, there are deer. I'm sure there's turkey, but they're eating acorns that are falling, and the bear probably eating trash out of people's trash cans. But but I mean, there's no grouse, there's no rabbits. I mean, I don't know that I've ever really seen a squirrel there. There's very few reptiles. There's no songbirds. It's just very dead.
Yep. And that's how like some of our woods was. We're just like, timber prices aren't right. Like my dad growing up, he loved grouse hunting, still does love it. And then it finally took like, because I kind of wanted to shoot my first grouse, but I've never shot one. I'm like, hey, Dad, let's go out. And we went hunting with the dogs for days and days and days, and we didn't see any. And my dad's like, man, I remember 10, 12 years ago, you could fill your bag limit in a day or two. And that's when they finally realized, hey, let's just take whatever money we can get and make our woods regrow and have all that cool stuff back.
We need more landowners like you guys.
Yeah. Yeah, 100%.
I feel like coming as a farmer who uses the land to make an income, you have to have a balance. Like, you can't just rape your property and not take care of it. Like, I just feel like that's the right thing to do, you know? And like, people think like you said perfectly, like the wrong person listening to this could take timbering as me, like clear cutting, killing, or chopping down every single tree for acres and acres and acres. And that's not selective. I think it's called like selective harvesting of timber or something like that, where you only take trees a certain diameter and you leave all the young ones to grow up. So then in 20, 30 years, you can do the same thing again.
Right. So it's a 100% renewable resource. That's what people don't really seem to understand. In states, you can even see that states that have, because back in the day, states used to actually clear cut. They knew this principle, and the tree huggers kind of got away from it, kind of lobbied the government to stop cutting these old historic forests down. And I understand where they're coming from, but like Aaron was saying, there, in these remote areas with this super mature forest, life can't really support itself there. When the state comes in and clear cuts certain areas, that's an explosion of life. That's where the grouse can feed. That's where the rabbits, squirrels. When you go to hunt bears up in Alaska, up in the, where's the first place that you're going to glass? You're going to glass an avalanche chute, which is essentially a clear cut on the side of a mountain where an avalanche took out a whole bunch of trees and cleared the whole ground so that this new growth could come through. And that's where the bears are feeding. That's where all the, the deer are feeding. It's just falconry. Like, that's the unique part of falconry, right? Is that we get to be part of like an ecosystem where like we're part of the hunt, and the bird is doing what it would naturally do without us there, and we're part of it in some way. And and these are all the things, and that's why I wanted to have you on, because you live the ecosystem. Like, you're part of the ecosystem on your land, and you're like consciously aware of it and constantly improving it, which is super cool. But we have to talk about your dogs. Because you mentioned your dogs a couple times.
Yes.
What do you run?
Yes.
You run long-haired miniature dachshunds or what?
No.
All right, Derik, we'll see you later. Thanks for coming.
Nope, I'm a cocker guy. I was raised in the cocker mafia, so
they're great dogs.
Yeah, no, I would not. So I have 3 now. I have Vader. He was my first one. I bought him from Seth. He's 4. And then I have Buster. I adopted Buster. He's 13. I retired him. And then I have this new pup. He's about 8 months old now.
Yeah, he's a good-looking dog. You sent me a picture of him.
He's a black and tan. He's a good dog. I got him from the Man Dykes. They live out in Nebraska. Super cool family, too. And, this is what I just hunt with the cockers. I like to run 2 at a time, just because some of our fence rows are kind of wide. And just having one cocker just doesn't seem to quite be enough. And that's why I got the second one, because Buster's old. And I noticed it last year, taking him out hunting. He wanted to go, but not really.
Right.
So that's why I have the Jedi's his name.
Vader and Jedi going together.
Star Wars.
Well, it's weird. It's weird. So like, when I went down, when Raven had Vader, I came down there when they were all pups, and of course his girls named them all, and they're like, oh, what's this one? Because it was the only one staring at me at like a couple weeks old. And I think, because I used to run hound dogs too.
Oh, cool.
In my opinion, for selecting a dog, like, some people think, bring a quail with you and throw the quail, whatever pup goes for the quail and retrieves it, that's what you should get. I don't think that's true. That's like saying a 3-year-old child is going to be a Division I athlete. Like, how can you predict something like that? But I think attentiveness is my biggest thing when selecting a pup. What pup is paying attention to me the most when I'm looking at the whole litter? Because I think that's a trait you cannot train. I don't think I put it this way. I think it's a trait that's hard to train. But if you're fortunate enough to have a dog that's attentive, I think that's priceless.
That's a good point. This is coming from a guy with a master's degree in animal science. So that's
I don't know much about small dogs, but that's
Dude, just go with it. I'm giving you a compliment. Just go with it.
And like disclaimer here. I am not my dogs are not like some of the top falconers dogs that are on Facebook and stuff like that. Like they are not.
What was that, Aaron?
I said not like me and Casey's dogs.
Like I'm just trying to think.
Yeah.
My dogs aren't like field trial dogs. Like they're just hunting dogs. Like they work for me. They get the job done. I'm not a super picky, like commanding every 10, 15 seconds in the field. I'm not that type of person. That's not fun to me. But they do listen and they work for me great. And that's just my whole, when selecting a pup, I look at attentiveness.
Okay, that's good. And so now talk to us, like, if you will, paint a picture for us. So, I've been to your house. You have like an awesome like house on this knoll with this view of like all the farming land that you guys work. And so when you get your bird out of the mew and you load it up in the truck, the dogs jump up in the truck and you cut them loose in like a nice hedgerow. How are you working your dogs? Like what are you looking for? What's ideal? Are you just cutting them loose and they're cutting a track and then working it? Or do you want them kind of how Seth works Raven, like as a back and forth kind of thing?
Yes, that's exactly what I do. And like the nice thing about I've been around probably a dozen cockers now, and they're all by different people. But there's lots of similarities that I have seen and witnessed in the hunting field, and just that, like, say Seth's house, and there's like 10 cockers there.
Yeah.
There's certain traits where I've noticed they all act the same, such as this. You never have to worry about a cocker getting too far out in front of you. At least all the ones I've hunted with, they are natural, close ranging dogs. Some people, like, for example, Seth, he likes his dog a little closer because he's a fist hawker and he likes it really tight, really controlled. Okay. I like them out little. I don't need them that tight. Kind of. I don't like to control them every 15 or however many steps and control them. I like them like a nice, comfortable, like 10-ish yards out, maybe 15 yards out tops. And that's really all. I never have had to train that with any of my three. That's always, they're always checking back. They kind of make like figure eights.
Like they're making figure eights out in front of you, and then kind of looking back at you periodically for approval or for direction.
Yes, like I've never ran an e-collar on my dogs ever. I've never even had to like once go out in the field and be like, oh god damn it, I wish I had an e-collar and shocking these guys that come back. Like I've never ever even came close to a situation like that ever. And that's, to me, like I ran the hound dogs. You train a hound dog to get out, find the scent, bay up, and if you're running coons, wait for you to come to the tree that's treeing, or you're using hounds for coyotes for them to loop them back to you. But they're supposed to get out there. So you can't train them to stay close because it's not what they're bred for. Or these cockers, I think they were bred for that, to stay kind of close. And that's probably the number one thing that sold me on the breed.
Yeah, that's a huge plus.
Yep.
Now, are you hawking from the fist periodically, or is it all from the trees? Obviously, with red tails, it would be different, but you flew two goshawks.
Like when I had the goshawks, when I had the goshawks, it was all in the fist. But like I'm like you, if we hunt, and let's say we're hunting a rabbit, and the hawk misses the rabbit and it goes up in the tree, I'm not gonna waste time when my dogs are still on track and the action's still going on to call my hawk down to my fist. That to me, that's not fun. Like, yes, would I like to kill the rabbit on the fist? Absolutely, because that's the way it should be done with a goshawk. That's what makes them so cool, and everyone wants them. But I'm not gonna be disappointed if my hawk misses, goes up in the tree, and the rabbit takes off again, and it comes out of the tree and kills it. To me, that's a kill too. Like I'm not that, like, just like back with the dog thing. Like my dogs aren't that super well trained, like hunting dog. Like I see some people are on social media. Like my dogs are not like that. They're just, and I'll tell that to anyone, but they get the job done for me. I'm happy with them. I wouldn't trade them for the world. So really, who the hell cares what anyone else thinks, you know?
Yeah, man. Yeah, I agree. I have the exact same philosophy. And like, so Seth, back to Seth, because he's like the cocker guy. He runs a little bit differently. Everything's from the fist, like you were saying. And his cocker, like when I saw that dog run for the first time, he was hawking English sparrows with a Sharpie from the glove. And that's when I met Derik a few years ago. And when I left there, Phil, my sponsor Phil, he was asking me how'd the dog do stuff. I said, to be honest, the dog looked like it had a computer chip in its brain, and it was like it had a remote, because the dog would flush something, and then Seth would just make one noise with his mouth, and the dog would freeze in its tracks while the flight is going on. It never mucked up the rest of the field while the flight was going on. If the bird missed, Seth would recall back to the same location everybody was standing. We would all stand in the same place, and then when the bird was back on the fist, he'd make another noise, and the dog would continue hunting. It was like a very regimented thing.
Yes.
But I mean, the dog was like like it was like a robot, you know. So you kind of,
and see,
which is fun for some people.
See, like I like who the hell wants to bring a dog out there and you're yelling for the dog more than you're actually hunting? Like
True.
No one wants that.
Yeah.
But like I don't like it where I'm like, for example, like that was Seth with Raven. Like I know what you're talking about. He blows that really high pitched whistle, and
Yeah.
she'll sit at me. My dogs will do that, but it's not like as crisp as his is. Like his,
Yeah, right.
You blow the whistle, boom. It's like that. Like mine are kind of like, but I didn't train them to be that.
Right. That's not your goal.
Computerized. That's not. I think it doesn't interest me. Like now, granted, that's another reason why I like the cockers. I can't tell you how many times the scenes happen. The cockers flush the rabbit. The hawk's going. Like my dogs will take off with the hawk, and like I'm fine with that. And they always sit 6 to 10 feet back. Like I never have to worry about losing my hawk. Like say the telemetry were to fall off or something. Like my cockers, like all them pictures I post where the dogs are there with the hawk, that is not staged. That's how I come up to it. Like they're a respectable distance, and as long as they don't make in on the hawk, what's it matter? That's the way I look at it. I mean, hell, like I look at it for my dog. My dogs are. That's another thing about cockers. I've never met a mean one. Like
they're all friendly.
I know my dogs would never in a million years go in on my hawk. Never. I've never even once even thought that they were going to do it. Never. And that's like another thing for falconry dogs, for any breed, I think, to any falconer listening. The only way, in my opinion, for your breed of choice dog to respect the hawk is for it to get footed once or twice when it's a puppy.
Yeah.
It's a good education.
I don't think there's any other way. And it's not, and like, you know, with the hawks, like when they foot, they're not like latching on, like never going to let go. Like, most of the time.
It depends on the scenario, but yeah.
Like, let's just say, for example, your hawk's on a perch in the house, and you had to just say, because I'm a big believer, keep your perch on the ground and let the dogs be around the hawk when the hawk's in the house. And I think the hawk gets over the dogs quicker that way. At least that's what I've noticed. Right. And like, let's say I'm starting a new pup, and the pup just gets a little too close to the hawk on the perch, and the hawk may just kind of real quick snap at the pup and like not latch on, and the pup normally cries, pup runs away, and then normally you have a pup that respects the hawk or doesn't get right up in its face.
Yeah. It's a very valuable lesson.
And it's very easy too.
Cockers are on the short list of dogs that I would like to have. I'm a dachshund guy.
Oh, you would like to have one?
Yeah, I would like to have them. Yeah, especially if I had birds to speak of. I think that would be my choice.
Yeah.
But I love the good nature of them. They seem really happy to do their work.
Yeah.
And they don't really. I have a hard time seeing a cocker making in to try and hurt a hawk.
Yeah.
No.
And to me, that's like the whole falconry thing. I don't want to hunt rabbits without a hawk anymore. Like I have no interest to hunt shotgun. Just like I don't want to hunt with a hawk that won't put up with my dogs either. Like that's why I didn't. That's why I stopped flying the red tail that I had. I was flying a red tail this year, and I'm not kidding you. I put that hawk up in the tree, and I let the dogs loose and cut the dog loose. That hawk was dive bombing them dogs to the point where like my dogs, I started getting a sense they didn't want to do it, and as soon as I sensed that, I fattened the thing up and I cut it loose because I don't want to do that. To me, that's not fun falconry. Like I don't want to put up with that. Like, I want to have both. I don't want to have just one. I want to have the dogs and the hawk, not just the dogs, not just the hawk. I need to have both.
I hate hawking with somebody who has a bird that won't tolerate dogs.
Yes,
me too. Or like they're not. I don't mean necessarily foolish enough to not have a dog. Like I get some.
Oh, I don't know. Let's call a spade a spade.
Yeah. Like looking back, like my first year of falconry, I didn't have a hunting dog, and then like my second year is when I got Vader from Seth, and I started my success went up double hunting the same field, the same wherever.
Yeah.
Just adding the dog, and I didn't have to get cut the hell up. Like,
Oh yeah,
that's such a plus.
That was a great thing that you just touched on, because I was going to ask you that question. If you started with cockers from day one of falconry, or you brought them in later, and
Nope.
if you brought them in later, what did your kill count go from?
Oh, dude, it doubled.
It doubled. Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Now,
Like,
listen.
I just couldn't.
I will say this: guys and girls that I talk to that add a dachshund in, their kill count triples. But anyway,
That's true.
It is true. That's what I've heard and seen.
Yeah.
Just saying.
Yeah, I think
It's backed by
I understand
scientific
why
evidence.
you guys. I understand why you guys run the dachshunds. I do.
Yeah.
But I think maybe both, but I think Casey will kind of agree to this. A cocker spaniel is the overall around perfect falconry dog, because it can do any of the things. Because, like, hear me out here. You have 2-3 feet of snow, your dachshund's not running through that as long as my cockers.
It's running under it. But yeah. Go on. No, go on. Make your yeah. They're running under the snow. But go on.
I'm just saying, for example, I have nothing against dachshunds, mind you. Like, they're cool dogs. I think they're cool. For the advantage, okay, we'll say like a dachshund, they're really good because they can go underneath the hole and flush out a rabbit where a cocker can't.
Right.
But a cocker can do, I feel, everything. Like for example, you want to hunt ducks, or you going to hunt ducks with a dachshund?
Yeah.
I've seen guys do it, but I've never tried it, never even thought of doing it. But yeah, I've you know what I mean? Like, it's like, can a dachshund jump in the water, grab a down duck, and swim back to shore with it? Yes, there's pictures of it, there's videos of it, people do it. But is it the right dog for that? Not necessarily. I see your point.
And that's what I was getting at. Like, it may not be the best, like, compared to rabbit. Like, I will say dachshunds have an overall probably advantage in the right scenario with hunting rabbits, because they can go in a hole and a cocker can't. But right. And the same with, like, probably a Labrador Retriever would be better than a cocker for hunting ducks, for example. That's an extreme, but get what I'm saying. But like a cocker, like, you can clump that breed in to do anything, but it might not be the best for like other breeds. Like, for example, if you have a short hair, you're not going to run a short hair and thick ass brush for rabbits. They'll get cut the hell up after a couple of times. You know what I mean? Like, where like a cocker, you can do that with. A cocker, you could hunt game birds with it, because I've done it. Like, they can just do everything to average to slightly above average compared to breeds that are kind of, I would say, specialized and really, really, really good at hunting one thing.
Right.
And maybe that's just my opinion on the cocker. They're not. I understand there's breeds better than them. I'll never take that away. But I think for a universal dog, I don't think you can beat them.
Yeah, I mean, listen, that's a great point, because they can do birds, they can do rabbits, they can do, you know, pretty much anything, and they can move. The only shortcoming that I've seen after hawking with you know, like Seth many times, and I've spoken, you know, I rave about his dog Raven. Like, I was literally going to pull the trigger. I was literally going to pull the trigger on getting one, and I just told Seth, I said, I don't want one unless it's coming out of Raven. And he said, well, I think Raven's retired from breeding. And I said, well, that's going to be a problem.
His dog is what made me fall in love with the breed. I'll tell you what happened.
Yeah.
I hunted with him my first year. I'm like, holy shit. I didn't even know what an English cocker was. And he came up to my house, men, for the first time. He brought Raven. I'm like, this dog's freaking badass. It listens, just like how you explained it.
Yeah.
Whistle, dog sits. Dog goes in the brush, rabbit comes out. I'm like, holy shit, this is cool. So then he sent the dog to get bred. Jeff, he breeds goshawks too. He lives in Erie.
Kissack.
Yes, Kissack. Yeah. Yep, it's Kissack. Yep. He took her to his place to get bred by his dog named Four, which is my dog Vader's father. So he said, hey, would you mind go pick her up? I'm like, yeah, sure, I'll go pick her up. I got nothing to do. So I drove to Erie, picked her up. He goes, hey, can you watch her for the weekend? I'm like, yeah, absolutely. Had the dog in the house, saw how great the dog was in the house. And then I took it out with me. I took it out in the farm like I take my 3. Like, I'm like, yeah, these are awesome. And that dog is what made me fall in love with the breed. So I get why you want one from her as well.
I want one, but the only shortcoming, and by the way, I don't know if Seth has publicly said this yet, but he said it to me. I have converted him. I've converted him because now he wants a dachshund now.
Whoa.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, I literally stopped. I stopped beating brush, and I turned around and looked at him. And I said, he's like, you can't deny it because Ginger and Raven, when Ginger and Raven are running together, it's like game over for rabbits because Raven will cover an obscene amount of ground in like no time at all, and then
So
if she flushes
go ahead, I'll
one,
let you finish.
then yeah, and then if she flushes one, she'll chase it and run after it. But she's not a hound, and a dachshund is a hound. So then Ginger, I run ahead, I see where it ran, I get her on that scent, and I just stand back. And then Seth, we were at this Christmas tree farm, and Seth looks at me. He goes, "Will she push it all around?" I said, "I think so. Let's wait." Dude, that rabbit runs all the way around this Christmas tree farm. Ginger's pushing it like a beagle. He runs right into a hole. Ginger goes in the entrance. Raven is sitting right at Seth's feet, and then you can see Raven like perk her head up because she's a friggin' dog, you know, and they have like crazy senses. And she runs underneath this other Christmas tree and just poises right at this little divot. And it was the exit hole. And I look at Seth, because I know how Seth is a purist, right? He wants to make the flush and catch it with the goss. I said, you want to get Raven off of that? That's the exit. It's going to come out. And he's just standing there smiling. And he goes, let's just see what happens. And the rabbit runs right in Raven's jaws and she just crunches it. And then he looked at me and he goes, I think I got to get one of these dogs eventually. And it was just, but like, yes, I do agree with you. When there's deep snow, the dachshunds, it's not going to be the best. Although if you go to a field 3 days after a deep snow and you walk through waist deep snow or knee deep snow and you get to that briar patch that's infested with rabbit, there's rabbits in there and the rabbits create those tunnels. You pop the dachshund in that tunnel and just stand back with the goss on the fist. It's going to be curtains because those rabbits they have no choice but to get out of there. But yeah. Does your dogs, will they trail and circle? Because I see that's slightly a shortcoming for cockers, in my opinion.
They're not the best at it.
Okay.
You're not wrong. You're not wrong with that statement. Right. I would say this, and I think it's a problem with the cocker breed itself. They are so moving at such a fast pace in the brush. I think a small fraction of it, no matter how good someone thinks their cocker is, it's how the cocker is moving in the brush that flushes the rabbit versus them using their nose, actually finding the rabbit and saying, yes, my dog saw that rabbit or smelled or saw that rabbit, went in the brush pile, whatever, and flushed it out.
Okay.
It's like they move like, and that's why I like them too, because I think they're a very stylish breed.
Dude,
how would you describe that?
Bro, there's nothing, like I say this all the time, like there is like in my personal opinion, you know, like there's guys like Tyler with the setters, there's other guys with Vizslas. When a cocker is moving through the tall grass and they're in the zone, there is nothing more beautiful than watching a cocker.
How would you describe it?
Oh, it's beautiful. It's just beautiful. They slink like a snake and they trot, and the way they move, they're so fast. They're covering. That's why I want one, because I go to these big fields and the dachshunds are, like you said, they're specialists. They want to catch that scent. They want to work that scent. They want to work it to where the rabbit's hiding. They want to flush it, and then they want to continue to circle it. But if you got a giant field where there could be a rabbit sitting out here and he's been sitting out there since 6 a.m. since the sun came up, and he's just sitting there and that scent already dissipated or evaporated because of the sun, I would love a cocker to just cover that ground in no time at all to get that rabbit to move, and then my dachshund would keep it moving. That's what I want. But they're just so beautiful to watch, man. They really are.
So I breed a lot of different livestock, been around a lot of different dogs, whatever. There's no such thing as the perfect breed, or there wouldn't be any other breeds, and that's the only breed of that animal that they would breed. So you always have to pick your pros and your cons of whatever breed of animal you're trying to raise or breed or whatever you want to call it.
Right.
The biggest downfall, in my opinion, in cockers, because I will admit they're not perfect. At least my 3 are. I don't know how other people's are. They are very soft dogs.
Okay.
These are not type of dogs where you can yell at them out in the field. If you start yelling at them and screaming at them, and it's over. You might as well go back to your truck. They'll be worthless. They'll cower down. They won't want to go on hunt or anything. And that can be a challenge. My
dog Ginger's like that.
Yep. It kind of makes you a better dog handler too, because like the easiest way is to just start yelling that the dog is knowing, like, you know what I mean? Like the easiest thing is say like, Ginger or Vader, get the fuck over here. You know, like, you do that with mine, it's over. you might as well feed your hawk up, call it time to roar, whatever, and go away.
Yeah, Ginger
Don't
knows
get a
curse.
cocker, Casey.
Yeah, Ginger knows curse words. If I start saying the F-bomb in the field, she starts getting scared and starts looking all
and it
scared.
sometimes it can be frustrating, like especially like if your dogs aren't doing exactly what you want. Like the first thing you want to do is express yourself, and the easiest way to express yourself sometimes is yelling. And
Right.
you do that one or two times with my three, it's over. It's like they don't even know what hunting is. They follow you. You'll turn around, they'll just be like laying underneath a multiflower road or something.
Yeah.
That is a downside.
And then you beat him. Then you beat him even more for not hunting. And then it's a perpetual.
It's a vicious cycle.
It's a perpetual cycle of just dysfunction.
Yep.
No, okay. So now, Aaron, me and Aaron have had this discussion on a previous episode about male and female. We noticed that I personally noticed I only run bitches. I only slang bitches. You know what I'm saying? So I only run female dachshunds, and I've noticed that I've had some that are stubborn, but the majority of them are softer. And Aaron has all different males and females, and he noticed that males sometimes can take a beating from the bird or from you or whatever and not really get phased by it. Are you noticing that with cockers too, or are we just in an echo chamber with the dachshund thing?
So I only run males. I only have male cockers. I never ran a female to say I really have an opinion, but out of my three, they're all soft.
Okay. It's not a bad thing. It's not a bad thing.
No, it's just I feel like that's not like you can't make a soft dog like you can't make
hard.
It that yeah. And same like you can't make a hard dog soft. Like that's just how they're born or how their parents were genetic or whatever.
Right.
You just have to know. You just have to know how to handle the situations. I feel.
That's good.
Well, you've done a lot in a short amount of time, Derik. You know a lot about these dogs.
I'm no pro. Like I said, I am not my dogs are not computer chips. Like they're just your average hunting dog. But like, I don't know. I think it's my animal experience that like, and I've talked to people like this too. Like you look a lot of your apprentices, falconers, I would say the majority of them don't have a lot of vast hands-on animal experience. I'm not talking just feeding something. I'm saying actually understand the animal, understand how to make it thrive, understanding what tweaks it, how you can make it better, how you can make its quality of life better versus someone like me where like I've done it my whole life. Like I can look at an animal, pretty much any animal, I can tell you if that animal's sick, if it's hungry, if it's thriving, if whatever. And that's something too. I feel like as an individual, you're either born with or you're not when it comes to animals. You either get animals that just need a little bit of time with them to figure them out and understand and read their body language. And there's some people that I just feel will never, ever, ever get it. Because I've dealt with it here on the farm, like hiring people. So I'm the herdsman here. I take care of all the animals. I have to have someone with me. If I have someone that is the best worker in the world, but they can't read an animal's body language or can't read an animal that it's sick or going to go into labor, he's worthless to me. And that's not something I can teach. Like have an individual has to have it. Just like having someone who's a mechanic. They're normally gifted early on.
Yeah.
They're good at repairing stuff. They're good at fixing stuff. For me, I'll admit it to anyone. I can change my tires and change the oil, and that's about it. It's just not my thing.
Yeah, I'm a master plumber, and we call it in the trades, somebody is mechanically inclined or they are not.
Yes. Yep, and I am not.
Me and Casey talked about this a few episodes ago. I told my apprentice, I was like, I can teach you a lot, but there's some things that you need to know that I can't teach you that you just have to have.
Yep, 100%. And some people, no matter how bad they want to do it, for example, falconer, no matter how bad they want to be a falconer, they just will never get it, and they'll be that person. I'll say it, then I want your guys' opinion on it. They'll only kill 8 to 10 head a year, and like they'll be content with that.
Uh-oh. We talked about
you know what
that
I mean? Like,
too.
Yeah.
So like in my like the whole like does kill matter? Some people are like, no, it doesn't. And they bash anyone that brags or posts or acknowledges their success. And I don't understand that because, like, just like in anything, take football, for example. The more touchdowns you have, the better you are. The
Right.
more kills you have, the better you are. Like, or the more times you went out, or how that just shows your success, in my opinion. And for anyone to bash or critique or not understand why someone's proud of their success, I don't understand it.
No, it's an important piece to falconry. We're not pet keepers. We're not bird keepers. We're
Yeah.
out here hunting. So
Yeah,
the
like
the kill count matters. Ultimately, it's not everything because, like I had said earlier in another episode with Casey, is you can run your hawks ragged and just have birds that just are beat to shit that you're catching all types of stuff with. And that's not good either. You got to
Yeah.
find that right balance between taking a lot of
Yes.
game and having very nice birds that are well taken
Yes.
care of.
Yep, I agree with that 100%. The kill count is 50% of the equation. The quality of life and the slash body condition of the bird
Yeah.
is, I think, the other half. And you
100%.
need both. Because what the hell good is having a feather perfect bird that only killed a couple rabbits, maybe
Bro.
a squirrel, and a duck?
Man, Derek's
that-
on
that-
point,
like,
man.
Yeah,
Derek's
I like
preaching
Derek.
right now. Let him preach. Let him cook.
And honestly, I give like, I didn't really go through like my falcon history, but like
We can, if you want.
the people I hung around is what kind of installed that. And it's honestly, I don't see how they're wrong on that. On like the whole, like, kill a bunch of shit and make sure your hawk's healthy and you're good. And like, I don't understand how someone could not understand that. But like, I remember seeing people's hawks at meets and stuff and seeing their bird. It literally looks like you took scissors on their deck feathers. Like,
Yeah.
There's something wrong. Like,
Yes,
there's
something's
something
missing.
wrong. And back to some people just don't get it.
Yeah,
And
they can find
it-
find a field. They can beat brush. They can put game in front of their bird, but something's off with their housing or their perching that's causing that problem. Like it's
Yep.
like there's falconry, right? There's like the base term of just what falconry is, and then inside of that term is like hundreds, maybe thousands of little tiny levels that of all these chips that have to be put into the right cogs to make a good falconer. Like you have to be able to catch game, find fields, keep your bird alive, and keep it in good feather and healthy and strong. Like there's, you know what I mean? Like there's all these
to me
happen, but yeah.
To me, that is a complete falconer. If you can kill a pile of stuff and your hawk is healthy on top of it and in good feather, that's, to me, when you succeeded with your hawk for that season. To me, that's you killed a bunch of stuff like you're supposed to do, which is why you should be, if you want to become a falconer, that should be one of the main reasons you want to kill stuff with a hawk, right?
Yeah.
And if you can do that and your bird is in perfect health any way around, that's the golden ticket, if you ask me. Because I agree
This
with you.
man's spitting.
Yeah, he's spitting facts, this guy. Yes. Thank you, Derek. Thank you for preaching.
No,
You're preaching to the choir, but yes. So now I want to, unless Derek, you have one other thing you want to say. I wanted to switch gears for a second. Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Okay.
Nope.
So you flew your tiercel, you killed a bunch of stuff with the tiercel, then you got that beautiful North American chamber bird. And I remember you posted, I was a little jealous to be honest, but you were posting these duck slips, these duck kills. And so I don't know how many ducks you caught. That's not really.
We only got one. Got one, but go ahead.
But I remember mentioning to you, and we talked about it, and I said, are you nervous about the avian flu? And that I will say online, if anybody catches a duck, like if you scroll down in the comments, somebody in there is saying, are you worried about the avian flu? And you, as somebody who went to school for this, who does this for a living, who deals with poultry, you said something to me that I thought was very interesting, and I did take it to heart. But can you elaborate? You don't have to get crazy in detail. I didn't prepare you.
So basically, in a nutshell, if I remember right, I told you avian influenza has been around for a long time. There's just years where it dramatically spikes. In a nutshell, so it's there forever. So
always there.
Let's just say the year 2024, there's no high pathogenic avian influenza spike anywhere. It's still out there. So even if there's not a scare, you're still taking the risk of killing a wild duck or goose or whatever you want to call it with avian influenza.
Okay. So it's something that's always there. It's always a risk. You're always taking that risk by catching that wild head of game, or even a game farm pheasant for that matter could possibly have it.
Yeah.
You're always taking that into consideration, and you're on top of this stuff because you raise poultry.
You have to be. Yeah. Biosecurity is huge.
I would imagine at your place, after seeing your place, after seeing the methane recovery system that turns it into energy for the farm to run. Derik, just real quick, just rattle off how many pigs come through your
20,000.
Okay.
A year.
A year. Okay. How many a year?
About 250,000.
Okay. How many beef? How many head of
we run 100 we run 100 head of Sim Angus cattle, and I don't know if I talked the last time I talked to you, but we also added sheep too. We have a small flock of 15 Hampshire Suffolk cross ewes. We actually just finished lambing like a month ago.
And then you're selling the lambs to like Greek restaurants.
Yeah, correct. So we bred 7 this year, and go figure, they each of them had twins, and they all had females. So I obviously want to keep them all.
Yeah.
So I didn't have anything to sell.
Did the guys show up in Cadillacs with the long daggers in the back of their trunks, ready to have a bidding war?
That. Well, like the one guy called me. I posted that on Craigslist, and he's like, "Do you allow slaughter on site?" I'm like, "What?"
Yep.
He goes, "Yeah, we want to." Of course, it was I believe it was a Muslim or something like that. Yep. He's like, "Yeah, we want to kill on site and drag off on our property." I'm like, "Oh man, dude, I'm not set up for anything like
that." It's
halal,
bro. It's halal. Yeah. They have to do it the traditional way.
Yep. Biosecurity is huge, but you're never going to, like, for example, I have a big problem in my poultry buildings. Starlings and house sparrows, they carry it too.
Oh yeah.
And they carry mites and lice. Like I always spray my birds like every 3 or 4 months to make sure they don't have mites or anything like that. But like it's always there. That's another example. Like you're never going to get rid of it.
Yeah, it's just going to be a constant battle all the time.
Should you take precaution? Maybe during a high pathogenic year, to each their own. And my whole opinion, like the falconers, like I'm not flying versus not flying. They're gonna, and like the biggest argument, whether you're flying a peregrine on ducks or we'll say a goshawk on ducks, the wild ones are gonna kill them. So like, what the hell's the difference? I mean, minus the fact that you probably paid for them.
Right.
I mean, I don't know. Especially if you love doing it.
An incredible amount of time into it. Yeah.
I avoided ducks myself this year. I didn't have a duck killing bird last year, but I avoided them this year because I paid $4,000 for my bird.
No, and like I don't blame it.
I really did not want her to get the bird AIDS, so I avoided it.
Yep. Nope. And I completely understand why anyone that's intelligent would do it, but I wanted to kill it because like that was the first duck I only killed 1 duck with her, and that was the first duck I ever killed. Like that was my goal with her. Like I wanted to kill a duck. So
now, if I had a wild falcon, I would 100% kill ducks with it.
Yeah, because it was free.
But what about a wild goshawk?
I mean, if they were fairly readily available where I lived, yeah, sure. And I think with the wild ones, there's probably some sort of inherent resilience to influenza too.
Possible.
Yeah, I don't know, but it was free. And if, like we talked to Casey's, one of Casey's sponsors, Paul Leah, they bust their ass to catch those goshawks.
Oh,
so they consider themselves very lucky if they catch one. So, it's not like you go out west and you see prairie falcons, every mile or two sitting around on poles. Or, if you live on the coast, peregrine falcons migrating through and you see, dozens of them every year. So if I were them, if my experience was the same as Paul's, I probably wouldn't fly them on ducks right now with avian influenza being prevalent.
So hot. Yep. No, and
I heard a study.
I see both sides.
I saw a study in Texas where gun hunters submitted their ducks for samples, and it was like 90% of ducks shot by hunters had avian influenza. This was 2 years ago. This wasn't last season. It was the season before.
Yeah, the 1 year, I can't remember which year exactly, was super hot, and there was like NAFA was posting like 6 falcons already died this year, and they put out like this whole post about avoiding ducks, and I'm thinking it's like propaganda to like, from PETA trying to scare us to not kill their ducks,
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
yeah,
Who
no, Derek.
knows?
Yeah, Derek brings up a good point that it's always there. It's never really going away, and it's always going to be
Well,
a concern. Yeah,
you've
man.
said it well, Casey. You've had goshawks die in the field from, collisions.
Yeah,
Derek,
that's what I was just getting ready
Derek's
to say.
had a bird that effectively died from a collision, and avian influenza didn't kill either of them. So it's dangerous business what we do.
In reality, every single time, no matter what quarry you're going after, you could walk away without your hawk or your hawk in your hands because it's dead.
Yeah.
And it is, and it's almost always 90% of the time throughout the country. Most birds are dying chasing rabbits.
Yep.
100%.
I'm sitting here sweating bullets and shaking my head right now, just thinking about it. I had close calls this year.
I had me too, bro. Me too. It's like these rabbits know how to strip. They know how to strip a predator off of them while they're running, man. They go right to the obstruction, and it's just they know exactly what they're doing. And the one bird, both my birds died from chasing rabbits, but one was a direct result of chasing rabbits. The other one was a byproduct, just landed in the wrong perch. But the one bird, the white one I had, that Karen bird, she was phenomenal, and we took like 30 or 40 between the year and a half I had her. We took like 40 ducks, no influenza, chases a rabbit. Rabbit goes underneath this this guard tower thing that had glass on both sides, and it tucked in right at the last second. She pulls up thinking that she's going to just fly over the pile that the rabbit went in, and it was glass. It wasn't clear, and she just smashed into the glass going 50 something miles an hour and just bounced off and landed like 6 feet away in a box. And it took us like 30 minutes to find her. You know what I mean? It's like, you would think, oh, rabbits are safe. It's just a little rabbit. Like what could go wrong? But that's when all your birds are dying is when they're chasing rabbits.
Yeah. The only bird I've had that died in the field was a byproduct of hunting rabbits.
Yeah. It's crazy, man, how a rabbit can strip a predator off of them. And I mean, they're doing it 24/7, unless they live at Derek's house, because then there's no predators. It's just Derek.
I can't tell you how many rabbits I've caught with scarring on them, like something trying to grab a hold of them.
And they slip through a fence, or
they're tough.
Yeah,
they're tough. That's why their skin's so thin, so that if something grabs hold of them, they can just shed it and go.
Jeez, that's crazy. And they'll grow it back, huh?
Yeah. I mean, you'll see scarring, and most of the time it gets infected the whole 9 yards. But I have caught a couple where, like, you can tell something. It wasn't another rabbit fighting with it. It's something clearly meant to grab a hold of it, and it slipped through.
So, Casey, I have one more question for Derek, and then I think we'll probably wrap it up.
Yeah.
Do you have anything you'd like to ask?
Well, like I have a whole nother, we didn't really get into Derek, how he got into falconry. Did you read My Side of the Mountain? Did he go to a Renaissance festival? Like,
did you read Harry Potter?
I
went at the Medieval Times or something.
So for Christmas, I was 13 or 14. I'll send you the picture sometime. The Hershey Zoo in Hershey, Pennsylvania had this thing. It was called the Falconry Experience. And I opened up this big box, and it was basically tickets for this falconry experience. So we went to the falconry experience. All it was, you put a glove on. The guy had 2 Harris Hawks. You put half of a dead mouse in your glove. The guy was behind you. He blew the whistle. You held your fist out, and the hawk flew to your thing. But like I bet you both can remember the first time you had a hawk fly to your fist. That was like the most like holy freaking shit. Like, this is awesome. You know what I mean? Like, and that's how they make money. Like, you had a hawk on your face. I don't care who you are. The first time, it's like, wow, this is freaking awesome.
Oh yeah.
So I was 14 at the time, and then like I was 16. I started reading some of the basic falconry books, and then I came to terms with it after reading those books. Hey, I'm getting ready to go to college. This isn't going to work. So then I went to college. Blah blah blah. Got home, year or two. Got kind of settled in, working full-time, whole 9 yards. Then I'm like, you know what? I want to pursue this. And then contacted Pennsylvania, the Hawking Club. He recommended me to West, my sponsor. I went hunting with West the first time. We were hunting behind this mall, and I'll never forget it. I was right above his red tail. We were hunting squirrels, and the hawk killed us. We weren't even hunting 10 minutes, and I and I was shaking the vine. The hawk killed the squirrel. Then the hawk kind of took off with the squirrel. And I had to run up over this bank and find it. And when I crested up over the bank of the creek, as soon as I crested, she was right there. And I got to see the whole thing. And I'm like, oh my gosh, yeah, I definitely want to do this. So then I hunted with him the rest of the winter, took the whole 9 yards, test, muse inspection, whole 9 yards. And then
That's awesome.
And that's pretty much nothing crazy. Like the reason why I got into it or anything.
You did it the right way.
Yeah.
And
smart about
at the time, I recommend this to anyone too. Coming from someone who not raptor experience, but lots of bird experience. Like I was kind of upset when I asked my sponsor after I was hunting with him for a couple months. It was like December. I'm like, Wes, can I trap one too? He goes, no, I'm making you hunt with me the rest of the season to show your dedication. And I was thinking in my head, man, he doesn't know me. I have lots of bird experience. I know I can do this, and I'll never forget. I'll never forget. Like, so I was even with him all hunting season, made our equipment together. I'm like, yeah, I'm ready. Went to go and trap a red tail. I remember when he handed me that red tail, I'm like, first thing I was thinking, I'm like, man, this thing's a lot more pissed off than my sponsor's red tail who just stood on my glove the whole time. Like, I highly recommend, like, no matter how much you think you're ready for it, you should at least hunt a whole season. Cause like, even then, like when I thought I was ready and I got that wild, just freshly trapped red tail, all equipped with its jesses and all the cuffs, the whole 9 yards, I was like, oh my gosh, I'm not prepared for this.
Oh yeah, man. Even to this day, man, you get a fresh red tail on your glove, female, man, it's intimidating.
Yep. And like, it was a reality check. I'm like, man, I guess I'm glad I did wait. And I told him that several times too. I'm like, Wes, you have no idea how glad I am that you made me wait and get more and more hands-on experience with yours, with a somewhat tame, it was already trained. Of the trained one, so I could at least know how to comfortably hold the hawk, know like for training, like how to call it and like how to present the lure and the whole 9 yards. Because like I could not imagine if they made it like a falconry permit was like over the counter when you go to Walmart to get a hunting license. Like I could not imagine the disasters that there's no way.
No way, dude.
There's no way. There's zero chance.
They do it in England.
Yeah,
really,
you could just go to you just go to a pet store and just buy a golden eagle and walk out the door. No questions asked.
That's crazy.
It's a disaster.
I cannot believe that. Yeah.
And if they had problems with it, they would ban it so quick your head would spin. So.
No offense to our European listeners, but we will have a European representative on to talk about this. There's many guys over there I'm friends with and I highly respect, but the whole system over there, it definitely needs something to keep people in check, because there's so many birds getting loose, housed in they got Harris hawks in bird cages I've seen online. It's just not, it needs to be, I'm all for less government, but there needs to be something to keep these birds.
Even bigger question for you then. Do you think for apprentices, flying a red tail is an injustice and I'll call it a fake, maybe not fake, I'll call it a misrepresentation of what the majority of the other falcons and hawks are like training?
You bring up a good point. I am of the opinion that a red tail is probably the best introductory bird because it's difficult enough, but with a reasonable amount of work, you can be successful, and it is not delicate. You're not likely to kill it.
Yeah.
Yes. I think the main reason why whoever got together and said, yep, apprentices are going to fly a red tail or a kestrel, I think the main reason why they said a red tail is because they're so abundant, they're practically bulletproof, and they're very, very forgiving. And sometimes I think that does new falconers sometimes an injustice, because like maybe they think, oh my gosh, this red tail was easy. Yeah, I want to be like Casey and Seth and all them guys with them badass goshawks on my fist after my 2 years apprenticeship. I'm going to have a goshawk that's going to act just like a red tail, and it's going to be great. And I'm going to get all this social media likes and all this stuff. And
go ahead. Go ahead, do it.
It's not like that.
I say fail with a Cooper's hawk.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. Like, does the red tail give a fair representation to new falconers? I don't know. Because
Yeah.
I remember,
Yeah, I agree.
I don't know.
Interesting.
I don't think there's a better option. I wouldn't say, hey man, grab a goshawk. That'd be a great first bird. Unless you want to say, hey, get
Let's
you
just say,
trap a Cooper's hawk in December and have fun.
Let's say, January,
yeah.
But would that weed out all the piss poor falconers that can just kind of ease by with a red tail? I mean, let's call it how it is. Most red tails are on the easier side compared to other species that are flown in falconry. Would you agree with that?
I agree with that. But then those guys, they, the people that we're referring to, not that we're singling anybody out, to each their own, your time schedule, your family life. It is what it is. We're not here to judge.
Yeah.
But those
red tails are a fantastic killing machine too. Like,
no, they're a killing machine.
With red tails.
The bigger question that I would say, I wouldn't really go after the red tails. I would go after the Harris Hawks if I was going to present this discussion, this topic. The Harris Hawk kind of does the injustice because it creates, like, you can get away with a lot with a Harris Hawk, and you can't get away with a red tail. A red tail will, they'll put some holes in you, especially a wild red tail compared to a captive bred Harris Hawk.
Yes.
You can get away with so much. I don't really see that there would be a different system, but Derik, I've talked to so many falconers on the phone about this, guys that we've had on the podcast, guys that are going to come on in future episodes, about what needs to be done about like the apprentice system in the United States. like we have in the United States, like, I was fortunate enough to have a good sponsor. You were fortunate enough to have a good sponsor. Wes, I was roommates with Wes at the PA meet. He gave me a spare bed the one year I went there, and he's like one of the nicest guys ever. I love to see him every time I see him. And he taught you everything he knew, and he did a good job. But there's sponsors out there that, like we were talking about earlier, like they catch like 10 head a game, maybe 10 head a game, and then they sponsor the first person that talks to them, and they don't make them come out for a year. They don't push them. And then you have a sponsor like my sponsor and your sponsor who pushed us to become better and to not let us cut corners and to follow through with certain things. No, you're not coming to my fields. You're going to find your own fields. I'm going to teach you how to find fields. You know what I mean? To find your own rabbits in your own game. And it's like you have two descending sects of falconry in time following, and you have like a lineage, like a family tree of falconers that are not really doing what they should be doing, and they probably know it, and passing along their lack of of drive, their lack of ignorance, and they're passing it on to the next apprentice, who's then going to pass it on to his apprentice. And then you have guys like Seth and guys like Paul and Philalia and Teddy Moritz that are pushing their apprentices to be elite, to follow through. And that's what this sport requires. It requires somebody that's gonna, go ahead.
And I cannot thank it enough, because like I always tell everyone, I was fortunate enough to have two sponsors. I had one sponsor that was my legal on paper West, and then I also had Seth too. Like, I was fortunate enough to be set up with people that knew what the hell they were doing. So I didn't know any better. Just like the apprentices we're talking about that don't know any better, that go with the shitty ones. Like, I was fortunate enough from day one to be on, I'll call, you said, the family tree, on a good family tree.
Yeah.
Where I didn't know any different. Like, I knew proper falconry etiquette. I knew how to tie a falconer's knot. I knew how to approach a hawk. I knew how to put a hawk in the transport box. I knew how to do everything correctly, where I didn't think anything of it. And then when you go to a meet and you see how other people do things that are on the, we'll call it the bad family tree, you're like, oh my gosh, what the hell are they doing? And I know exactly what you mean.
Yeah, I'm not trying to call anybody out or
no, and I'm not calling anyone out either, but it's a fact of reality. Just like in anything, you have your elite people. Look in sports or anything. You have your top percent that are the best at what they do. Then you have people that aren't. It's just how. Yeah,
and I don't know if there's I don't know if there's ever a way to change that, but I just remember in Jersey we had a situation where somebody wanted to become a falconer, and it was very clear early on. A good falconer sponsored this person. It was very clear early on that this person really just wanted a pet hawk, and they wanted to take pictures with it and have like this cool pet. And when there was zero desire to hunt, and then there became like it came to a head where the sponsor was like, "No, you're gonna hunt. Like, this is not like Then for some reason in New Jersey, the apprentice was able to switch from one sponsor to another to follow through with their training, and the other person just signed the paperwork like nothing happened.
Yeah, that's wrong.
And they pushed that person through. So now there is a person that has a general class falconer license in New Jersey that's never caught a head of game, and that is just it's a complete crapshoot, and I don't know what to do.
And I've thought about this too. That it kind of ties to what we're talking about. I feel it's wrong that just years in the sport dictates what level of falconer.
Yeah.
For example,
right.
I could fly a red. I could fly a red tail hawk for 10 years. For 10 years, am I really a master falconer? No, I'm just a guy that flew one hawk for 10 years. That doesn't make you. It doesn't make you, like, when you think of master, you think of someone who knows their shit, knows whatever. Whether you're a master carpenter, master plumber, like, you didn't just do one thing for 10, 15 years and became a master plumber. You got good at everything that has to do with plumbing. Like,
correct.
Whether it's, how, I think that needs changed more or less than the sponsors do.
I had the exact same thing happen to me that you're describing, Casey. My first apprentice that I sponsored, he did not follow through with what I expected him to do. And after a season of that, I said, hey, man, I'm going to have to drop you. He found someone else. I contacted the guy and said, hey, he did not catch anything his first season. He wouldn't listen to me. He didn't put forth the effort. I gave him a chance and he didn't follow through with it. You just need to know that before you sponsor him. I don't think he ever caught anything. And now I'm assuming he's a general falconer.
Yeah, man. It's a problem.
That's wrong.
There's nothing you can do about that, though.
Well, there is. There is. And I talked about it. I've talked about it with a few different falconers, very well-known falconers that are passionate about it. And they don't really publicly talk about it because we're kind of taking a risk publicly talking about it because we're potentially alienating listeners of the podcast. But our goal is not to alienate or to try.
We don't want them to listen anyways.
Well, no, we do because we want them to listen.
In reality, we do. It's this simple. Get good.
Right. Get better. Do better.
No different than, like, you're in a sport and your coach yells at you. Your coach yells at you for doing shitty. It makes you want to do better. Well, if people take to heart to this, they're more or less that type of person anyways. So get better. Like,
right.
I don't know what else. Point. Like if an individual is taking this to heart, then they're probably guilty about it.
Correct. Yeah, that's a really good point, Derik. And like we were talking about, it's the luck of the draw. And I know Wes and Seth are good friends. And I'm sure Wes pushed you. Go hang out with Seth. The guy, this guy, he's got all these birds. You can learn a lot from the guy. Go hang out with him. I'm sure
he said flat out from the beginning, because like when Wes did kind of hit the interview with me, to kind of like feel like, hey, yeah, this is someone serious, or hey, this is someone that just wants a pet hawk to say, look at me, take my picture. I have this pet hawk that eats on my fist.
Yeah.
And once he figured out that, hey, I told him I wanted to fly goshawks, and he's like, well, listen, I can be your apprentice, I can be your sponsor, but there's a lot of things that, based off of what you want to do, I don't know how to do, because he's never flown a goshawk. And then that's when he recommended Seth, the whole 9 yards, yada yada yada. Yeah, so and that's how that went.
So Derik, you knew from early on that like goshawks was like you wanted to get into the accipiter thing.
Yeah.
Why was that? You saw a video, or you read a book?
I watched every video. Before I met Wes, every YouTube video that had to do with hawks hunting something, I bet you I watched it.
Nice.
And I love, and I still do, when you decide to hunt or ducks again, the whole hawking ducks, and that just intrigues me. Like the whole bird hunting, and that's something I don't have here. I only have ducks pass through a couple of weeks out of the year. I don't have anything that stays, anything like that. Like for you, like being able, like I would love to be able to go out and kill as many different species of duck as I could. Like that just kind of stuff, that's cool to me. Like I love, like one of my other hobbies, we have lots of ponds on our property. If my dad will pass it, he'll be like, hey, there's a really cool looking duck there. We'll all brush over with my binoculars, and I just like to look at it. Like, I don't want to shoot it. I just like to look at it. And to be able to do that, I'm jealous of that you have down there.
Well, yeah, that's a whole nother topic that we're going to broach on this podcast. Is we're going to have some guys on that are really good at finding duck slips for long wings and duck slips for short wings. And really, it's just and long wing guys will admit, and the short wing guys too. It's really just a matter of driving and putting miles on your car, just looking at different slips. And once you establish like a circuit of like pre-established slips that you found in the past. Like I have like I'm not an organized person, so I don't have a spreadsheet, but I have like a rough on Google Maps. Like I know this stream continues for 40, for 25 miles through all these different towns, and I can hit this same stream 3 towns over behind this warehouse that's like vacant. Nothing's going on there. It's a perfect setup, and then you can go. So that's something that we want to talk about. And yeah, I do.
That'd be cool.
Yeah, because I know out by you it's so vast and like it's like a lot of it's private property. Like you would have to like really do some scouting to set up some good slips, and then it gets so wicked cold out by you.
Yep.
That all those ponds are going to be rock solid. By December, January, there's no ducks in there. But by us, we have a lot of streams that you know what I mean, and that's we love when it gets cold because the streams are still open, and then all the ducks
and it brings them in.
They flock to those streams, man. And on a wicked cold day, man, it's like 10 degrees out. Those streams are going to be loaded with our ducks, and then we just sneak up and just smoke them. So that's a whole nother topic. And yeah, it gets me excited too, man. But
yeah, that's why with the whole goshawk thing, that's what sparked it.
Yeah, man.
And like seeing the guys hunt jackrabbit, that is a long-term goal of mine. I would love to go out west and kill jackrabbit. I'd love to go after some of the wild upland game. I think that would be so cool.
Oh, yeah.
So that kind of leads me to my final question, and I think we can wrap it up. But based on what we've talked about, I think we could have you on again.
I'd love to.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed this. I can't tell you how much I appreciate, Casey, you thinking of me to have you on the podcast.
Oh, yeah, bro, by far. I hung out, like, I'm like, this guy, he has to come on. He has like such an interesting life.
He was rock hard talking about you.
Awesome. Yeah, just super boned up, just talking about Derik. And Derik, congratulations, by the way. I know it's your just past your 2-year wedding anniversary. Congratulations.
Yep. And to top it off, I'm going to be having a kid first week.
Oh, that's what I'm talking
Congratulations.
about, bro.
Thank you. Yep.
Congratulations.
Thank you. We're obviously not very far along since she's doing October, but she goes to get whatever testing done to find out the gender, and then we're having a gender reveal party, I think the 27th of April, so that'll be exciting.
Please blow something up.
Yeah, welcome to the club.
Yeah, man. Your falconry, I found that when your wife has nothing to do at home, it's either hit or miss with interfering with your falconry. But when they have a kid and it requires all their attention, it's very easy to slip out the door and get a couple kills.
That's That's one thing I will say about my wife. She is very I obviously don't live a normal life, and she's very understanding of it. And where I give her credit, because like being a farmer, like I don't have a set 8 to 4 job where like at 4 o'clock I'm done no matter what. Like it doesn't work like that. We're like there's sometimes we make plans, and maybe for example, one of my cows goes in to give him birth. Guess what? Those plans are out the door. Some women would get very upset with that, and they have every right to, because my lifestyle is not for everybody, and I understand that. But on the same note, like you have to find someone that does, and she is. So I already talked to her about the whole hawking thing. She's on board that she still wants me to do it, and so
that's good.
What are your falconry plans coming up?
That was my question, dude. That's a great question.
I got the last question. My question.
So I'm gonna fly a red tail this year. I really, my next goshawk, I'd like to do an imprint. Speaking of like what got me sparked on like the whole goshawk thing early on, did you ever watch that video of that guy? He's from California. I don't remember his name. I should.
Connor.
No. He has some cool videos, but it's before him. He basically goes through the whole process.
Oh yeah, him. Trevor. Something.
Yes, with Giselle. Giselle was the
Giselle. Yes. I know those.
To me. Now, granted, I understand. Just like anyone, they're not going to show all the bad things that happen. you're only going to show like the highlights of your falcon. You're not going to show like your dog not listening or your hawk screaming in your face or whatever. But everything that the couple of videos that he posted, seeing how much shit his bird killed and how calm it was with everything, and that's what I always dreamed of having because I like because goshawks. I like the adult plumage more than the juvenile myself, and and I know you should. I know it doesn't mean anything like the color and everything, but having
we're
adult
the same way.
plumage female goshawk, man, that is a sexy bird.
Oh,
and
that's the best.
My yeah. I don't think you can beat it as far as looks. Maybe I do like those African goshawk, the black ones.
Oh yeah, don't get me started, bro.
They're close too, but
if Uncle Seth is listening to this, he's got to import a couple of those suckers because we need some more of those. They tried to bring them in years ago, and they brought, I believe, 12 in. A friend of mine was on they're in a co-op of breeders that imported them, and they're just extremely high-strung birds. And also, me and Aaron have talked about this because me and Aaron are talking about maybe importing some stuff like dog-wise or whatever. But a lot of these countries, they don't want to give the Americans like their good stuff. So we don't really know what was brought in. I think from what I heard, last I heard, there was like 2 African black sparrowhawks in the United States right now, and they're like both Kearsals or something, and they're like super wild.
So pointless.
Yeah, so they nobody got them to breed that I know of, but come on, Uncle Seth, let's go, let's do it.
Yeah, no, that a female North American
can't beat it.
That's I think that's the first bird that Seth flew around me. That was his passage one that he caught. Her name was I want to start with an H. Helena was her name. Helena. Yeah, that bird killed. Every single time that dog flushed a rabbit with that bird, I never saw it miss.
Yes,
not one time.
Yes, Seth's North America. I was just going to say that Seth's North Americans and a lot of North American passage birds, you get an imprint, and when it leaves the glove or it leaves the fist, there's for me, my ratio is probably 60 to 70%, and if I'm in a certain field, it's higher or less. But when you're out in your kind of country on those hedgerows and those fields, when that North American passage leaves the glove, there's a 90% chance that it's catching whatever it just slipped after. It's the craziest thing. It's it makes it so much more exciting because it's gonna catch it. It's so awesome.
Yeah, and that was the first goshawk I was ever around, and that's where back to the fortunate of who you met for your apprenticeship, whatever. People, I remember going to meets and stuff, and people were like, "Oh, I don't want to fly no goshawk, them crazy things." And the falconers I was around were nothing but successful. So I was having the back of my head, man, what are these guys smoking that they're saying this? Every goshawk, granted, I was only an apprentice, so I didn't really know anything. I was man, what are these people talking about? Because I was around Jeff's and Seth's, where they didn't like you said, they don't miss.
They're on point.
And they come back to recall and all this stuff. I'm just thinking man, what are you guys talking about? And just because I was lucky enough to be around, but nothing but good goshawkers. That's the best way to say it. But no, back to what I want to fly. I want to fly a red tail. Then maybe next year, I like a North American female again.
There you go. Let's make it happen.
Are you? What are you guys flying? Are you doing another imprint?
My wife said that she would probably divorce me if I got another imprint with a newborn in the house.
I don't blame her.
But I may or may not be getting an imprint of a completely different species, to possibly, if it works out. Not for game hawking, just for my son and the family. But yeah, I don't really.
Keeping that a secret, or you're?
No, Aaron has some fertile. Aaron, who's my co-host, he has some fertile screech. He has some fertile screech owl eggs, and I think that'd be one of the coolest little birds to have.
I do too.
Around the house,
I think
for
a little
fun,
barn owl.
Oh, you want a barn owl?
Barn owl would be.
Aaron has barn owls ready to go right out the door right now. You want it?
How are this is probably a dumb question, but like you don't hunt with them. You're like the screech owl. You just have them, right?
Bro, you know me. I'm probably gonna have to. I'm probably gonna have to try.
Well, no,
I hunted
I was
with
asking.
a great horned owl.
Oh, cool. Were you?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And it was not I wouldn't call it a very successful venture. He caught some game, but his success rate was very, very low. And I have heard of people catching stuff with barn owls. So
Cool.
Like what?
pigeons.
Oh wow.
I mean, I think there's
that'd be cool. Go in a barn at night and just let the barn owl loose. That'd be kind of cool.
yeah, you wouldn't even need a flashlight. Just walk in.
Yeah.
Let them go. But they're it's hard for me to imagine that. They're just such docile, easy birds.
One time, it's happened a couple years ago, so it doesn't matter now at this point. We had a snowy owl on our place for several months.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah, it happened several years ago, so now I don't care if anyone finds out about it because it only happened once. But listen to this. So the local bird watchers, somehow one of my few neighbors must have saw it and told them, dude, I had to throw people off my property. They were parking along the road, going into my cow pasture where this thing was.
Wow.
Trying to take pictures of the thing. Yeah.
Yeah, those bird watchers, they get crazy, man.
Oh, they are.
They're crazier than us.
But I think a snowy owl would be cool to have too.
Yeah, I heard they're extremely difficult to keep alive. A friend of mine, Brian Bradley, he had two for many years because he does shows. So he had two,
cool.
and they're just like super weird, cool birds, man. They just like stand on the ground and like they just like they're just like interesting birds. But I heard if you do like the natural history of those birds and like what they do, like they're killers, man.
They kill dozens.
They're diurnal too.
Yeah, they'll kill.
What are those? What are those little mice up in like up
Lemmings.
north where they live?
Lemmings.
Yep.
Yeah. They'll kill those. They'll kill your hawk, ducks. I heard they'll kill a lot of stuff. Yeah, but I mean, owls is just like a whole nother topic. Like, you know what I mean? I'm getting the screech owl. My buddy Tom Cullen has a couple screech owls and some boo-book owls, and he said that if like a dragonfly gets in the house or something, like it's fun to watch the screech owl, but it'll sit there and stare at it for 4 hours, and then all of a sudden it'll be sitting back on its perch with the dragonfly in its feet eating it.
Yep.
You know what I mean? But like it took 4 hours.
with my Aplomatos, probably some of the most enjoyable flights to watch was when I'd have them both on my fist and I'd be walking like cut wheat stubble or oat stubble, and all the grasshoppers would start flushing in front of me. I can't tell you how many of them. I mean, it gets boring really quick, but like seeing how it made them, I feel like it contributed to the muscling on them, because like they had to kind of like, how a grasshopper, like when you startle it kind of like sputters and kind of like doesn't go one direction, kind of like
right.
Those hawks falcons loved them.
So they just got that they learned that quick explosive off the glove to start the flight off of grasshoppers.
Yeah,
it's pretty cool.
Honestly, that's what I started the female on for like the first week or so. Then when I started doing, I would put a caught sparrow in a wheat field, and I would put it right in the beginning of the wheat field, so that even if I flushed a grasshopper, I know I'm going to flush a sparrow right away. And then we upgraded from grasshoppers to sparrows, and then I did that for a while, and then I went from baggy sparrows to let's go actually hunt sparrows. And I worked on that. And then I was hunting sparrows one time, and then it killed a starling. And then after that, it pretty much preferred starling.
More rich meat.
Yeah, I think we killed 3 or 4 mourning doves, something like that.
That's cool. Yeah, I remember you sent me a couple of those pictures. Cool. Yeah, you sent me some of those pictures. So cool.
Yeah, we'll have to have you on just to talk about aplos one day.
Yeah, they were cool little birds. I don't think I would ever have them again just because of the cold weather thing.
There's a lot of people who try those and are not successful. It's very common for people to try that.
The biggest thing that I read on them before we got them was that they hooded terribly.
Yeah.
They both hooded great. They both, I mean, I'd say the middle to end of the season, I didn't even hood them. I didn't have to. Like I would bring the perch in my garage where I would weigh them, and then they would just hop on the scale, wait for me. I'd pick up the scale, set it in my truck, secure it in my truck, and away we went.
They would just sit there while you drive around.
Yeah, they did not bait. They, no exaggeration, they did not bait. Didn't
That's
happen.
so cool.
That's kind of like Harris hawks. You don't need to hood them.
I have not been fortunate enough to know a falconer that flies Harris hawks. I've always wanted to hunt with someone with Harris hawks because I hear they're another hawk. I think you either like them or you don't like them, and there's no really in between.
I mean,
Well, that's a whole nother subject.
Yeah,
We're gonna do an episode, the Harris hawk episode.
Yeah, no, they're
I've
great
had
birds.
them.
They're great birds.
Yeah, I actually.
I don't have an opinion. I've never been around. I haven't even been around a Harris hawk.
You don't want to.
Uh,
No, I'm just kidding.
they're,
No,
No, I'm just
they're
kidding. I'm
annoying
just joking.
birds, and I think people. There's some people that fly them really well and do a great job with them, and then there's other people that just fly 2 or 3 of them and just gangbang squirrels in a park, and
Yeah, it's like
that's their thing. That's fine, but it's just not for me.
it's falconry on easy mode,
Yeah.
pretty much.
Yeah.
Which is nothing wrong with
Yeah.
it, depending on your schedule, like I said. But if
No,
you're
Teddy.
if you're Teddy gets it done. Yeah. Oh yeah.
Teddy flies one single Harris hawk, and she will chase the same rabbit for hours until she catches it. And
Zero mercy. No
Yeah.
mercy.
and that and that's pretty
do you
cool.
guys? I could talk for another 5 hours, but last question, kind of topic. Do you think falconry, what draws people to it, is the fact that it's fair hunting? Like it's as fair as you can get.
You have a
animal
sporting
versus animal.
chance.
Yeah.
Hence the name of our podcast. No, Aldo Leopold put it the best in his book that falconry is the purest. I believe this is the quote. Falconry is the purest form of hunting a man can partake in, and that's I don't know that that's necessarily what brings a lot of people into it. I think the fact that you just get to work with birds of prey is probably what brings a lot of people into
True.
it. But for
True.
me, when I first got into it, I wasn't really a hunter necessarily. I did a little deer hunting, and I got way more into deer hunting like while I was a falconer, and I went down that whole rabbit hole and killed a whole bunch of nice bucks and all this that and that. But in the beginning, I knew that falconry was hunting, and I didn't know what it looked like or what it would like, how it would come about. But the fact that my bird would catch that squirrel over there, and that was like this fantasy in my mind, was like what drove me. So for me, that's what it was.
Yep.
But for a lot of people, I don't really think that that's what it is, to be honest.
I think it's just the
Yeah, I don't know.
opportunity to work with the birds.
Yeah, I think it's just
I would
cool.
definitely say that's number one. You want to work with birds of prey.
Yeah, and your
Yeah,
bird
it's your
wants
ticket
to.
to do it.
Your bird wants to
Yeah.
kill stuff, so let them do what they want to do. That's why everybody. I mean, my one friend posts stuff, and there's duck hunters on there, and the bird hunting community in general really does not like falconers for some reason. I get the most hate from duck hunters and upland game hunters for some reason. They and it's but it's just, and they're like, oh, falconry needs to be outlawed, but like there's really no argument against it, really. I mean, the birds are doing the killing. You're treating them well. They're being housed correctly. It's overseen by a government body. You have to fill out all kinds of paperwork. It's like, there's really not much of an argument against falconry, really. I mean, blasting a hole through something with a gun, I mean, that seems a lot more, unfair or whatever the case may be than catching a rabbit with a hawk that happens millions of times a day. I don't know.
Yeah, my biggest, I would say, pet peeve with falconers is how they display I'll call it the gruesome part of falconry, the killing part that some people take offense to. I deal with it with the whole predator hunting thing too, where someone will post, like I belong to some predator hunting or trapping pages, and you'll see people posting these pictures of this fox that is covered in mud, looks absolutely terrified in a trap, and then wonder why animal activists are trying to shut trapping down.
Yeah.
And I think the same thing with falconry. Like, you can show that your hawk is on a rabbit, but it takes 10 seconds to flip the rabbit's head or flip where the hawk made into it to not make it look quite so bad.
I see your point. And I've had people approach me about that too. And I see people, and my pet peeve on social media is when I see a falconer that posts a kill picture and they put like an emoji or like a sticker over the dead animal. And
Oh,
that's
yeah.
my pet peeve because I mean, look, here's the thing. Like, do you go after National Geographic when there's a pride of lions eating on a water buffalo? Like, are they
That
censoring
is
the water
true too.
buffalo? Like this is a 100% natural thing that's happening.
Yes.
If you don't like, basically what I say to people, and I'm not posting like rabbits like wiggling and squealing and like
Yep.
getting like footed to death. Like I'm posting a video of a dead rabbit and my bird's eating off of it. And
Yep.
my whole thing is like if you get offended by that, then like, and I'm sure you deal with this, Derek, like with
Yep.
people, like with the predator hunting, like you're
Yep.
living, the person that's commenting negatively on that, like they're living so far removed from like real
That they don't
life
understand.
that that's offending them. That like
Yes.
the act of a hawk eating a rabbit, that it needs to live, like that's offensive to
Yep.
you. Like I don't really have
Yeah.
much in common with you, and I'm not gonna
Yep.
cater my life around you. I get, but the
Yep.
trapping thing I get though, because that's a whole different,
It's
that's a whole different.
like with trapping, for example. Okay, a leg hold set. You know the animal doesn't want to be in there. You know it's scared. You
Right.
know it's like, but also it's part of trapping. But like, there's a right way, I think, no different than if deer hunting or something like that. If you blow a freaking hole in it, I don't know how to just really explain it over the phone, really. But like, I just feel like anyone can just take 10 seconds, just clean it up just a little bit.
I
You know
see
what I
what
mean?
you're
Like, cause
saying.
like
Yeah.
dude, like I've seen predator posts where like, especially right now, where like the coyotes are bred and they have their pups. They'll post a picture of shooting a coyote, and then they'll take another picture in the same post and have all 9 of the fetuses hanging out there saying, "Yeah, I killed 10 for one." Like, you don't need to post something like that. Like, that is what makes stuff like that we enjoy get banned and not be able to do, because the animal
Yeah.
rights people anymore seem to always frickin' win because people seem to side with them. Like you said, they don't truly understand, but they think they do, and they end up getting their way somehow. Like, I can't tell you how many states in the last 2 years have banned predator hunting contests.
That's well, yeah. The contest, yeah. Nobody wants to see a lot of the general public doesn't. Yeah, they don't want to see. I remember there was a big squirrel. They called it like the big squirrel bonanza, like up north somewhere, where they had this competition and this cookout, and whoever kills the most squirrels, like the government came down on them hard, like shut the whole thing down because it was like
Yep.
a competition for killing squirrels, and like that's a very like interesting topic to like discuss because like are we killing for entertainment or like out of a competition, or are we killing for a specific reason? But like what is the reasons for my like we had a kid come to a falconer meet one time, and he's actually in one of the group pictures, and it's hysterical because everybody who was there dies laughing every time we look at the picture because we think that he came just to like see animals die. And you just see this kid, bro, just staring at the camera, bro, with like this look on his face of just like evil, like he's just staring at the camera with like shark eyes. Like, and we're all smiling,
Yeah.
and we're like, yo, this dude just came to see stuff die, bro. But like why is like my motivations or someone else's motivations like the reason why like I want my birds to be flown, I want to catch game. Do I want to catch more than Harrison Dalby down in Maryland? Yeah, of course I want to catch more than him. You know what I mean? Like I want to
Yeah.
outcatch him, but I'm not, you know what I mean? But that's
Yes.
not the reason why I fly. You know what I'm saying? But I guess a competition, like a competition that's sanctioned, that's like there's like prizes and stuff. Like it's gonna lead to like unethical behavior, right? Maybe.
Absolutely.
So I don't know what
Absolutely.
I don't know what the right answer is, but we should be allowed to do
It's
it for
tough.
fun.
Yes. Yep. No, I agree. But like, this is what got some of the predator hunts banned. There were so many people, because I still do it. All the fox we kill, we skin them out the whole 9 yards.
Yeah.
Do something with the hides.
Do you sell them?
There's some people. I try to. I give a lot away. I was always taught, however that animal was meant to be harvested, is how you should use it. And
Right. That's good.
I kill fox and I kill fur bearers. The purpose of a fur bearer is its hide, so I use it. But there
Cool.
were people in these predator hunts, they'd shoot like 20, 30 fox, drive 15, 20 minutes away from wherever you had to register your hunt and just throw the coyotes over the bank, and then people would see that.
Yeah,
Like, what do you expect? Like,
Yeah,
I'm not
it's a bad
saying in
look.
any sport, I'm not saying in any sport to cater to the people that already don't like you, but you sure as hell shouldn't give them ammunition to try and get whatever you love doing banned either.
That's a good point. Yeah, and you should, and that's just goes back to just hunting in general, just respecting your quarry. Like, you can kill all the coyotes you want, but dumping them like that is just that's just disrespectful to the quarry. It's wrong on many levels, and even our community would frown upon that. So you should never do that.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah. It's just, I think it's the ethics of hunting, and that's where, like, I think like all the hunting sports have in common: falconry, deer hunting, turkey hunting, predator hunting. There's a right and wrong way to show your passion for what you're doing, because you are dealing with dead animals. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's a good point. It's a really good point. That's why I don't really try to post anything that's like wiggling and alive, like up close.
Yeah.
You know, like obviously you see my bird catch stuff, but I'm not showing it like struggling and suffocating.
Yes,
and
that's the part.
Whatever's actually going on, but I'm going to show my bird feeding off of it, because that, to me, that's the beauty of it, right? Is the bird.
That's a prime example. You're not showing the last 30 seconds to a minute of that thing being alive. You're showing everything's calmed down. The hawk has killed the rabbit. I was say a rabbit, for example. The hawk has killed the rabbit. I dispatched the rabbit. Now look at what we did.
Yeah. Look at the beauty. My thing is, look at the beauty of this bird of prey eating its natural prey bait, one of its natural prey species, in a calm, crystal clear video where you can see nature in its purest form, unhindered. That's my whole thing. And like, I want people to comment so that I can just like politely educate them. And some people get crazy. And
you live for that.
Yeah, well, yeah, and it also boosts the algorithm. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah, it's all about that algorithm.
When they comment, I comment back, and that boosts you in the algorithm, bro. You get more views. Come on now.
But right, that's why he's managing our social media campaign.
I'm trying.
You've gotten some whack emails and
emails, bro. Whacked. I get death threats on a regular.
I have time for that.
You get death threats?
Oh yeah, like all year long. I get death threats multiple times a year. Oh yeah. Tell me where are you so I can shoot you and your bird. All this and that. I get the same thing. I'm gonna wing your bird. I'm gonna watch it suffer. Like I get the
meanwhile,
I saw that one.
And then meanwhile, they're bashing you for hunting rabbits, how that's inhumane, but they just said they're going to break your bird's wings. Like,
oh yeah, and they're going to kill me and they're going to kill me, my wife, and my kids because of a rabbit. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, and I'm going to cater to them. But now I just have a canned response now. I just say, just tell me when and where. My birds, I got an empty freezer and my birds need some food. I'd love to feed your fat body to my birds. That's what I always say. That's what I tell them. And I go, what are you going to do, bro? You going to call the cops on me? You just threatened to kill me, my wife, and my kids over a rabbit. I'm going to chop you up and feed you to my bird. How's
that?
Yeah. Fair's fair, right?
That's crazy. Have you ever had anyone like show up that somehow?
No, bro. I literally texted, I literally messaged the guy one time. I was in a bad place mentally, which happens on a daily basis. But I sent them like one of my best fields, and I said, "Bro, I'm gonna be there on Saturday. Come through. Bring whoever you want. Let's go." And
let me guess, no one showed up. Yeah, that's
dude. No one shows up. Like, and I shouldn't have done that. You know what I mean? But like, I'm just tired of getting death threats for flying a bird and catching a rabbit or catching a squirrel. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's just completely uncalled for. And the funniest part, which is not funny, is that these people that are, it's 99.5% of the time, it's another hunter. It's a duck hunter. It's an upland hunter. It's a deer hunter. Those are the ones telling me they're going to kill me for killing an innocent rabbit. And like my hawk, you're going to kill the hawk. I'm going to kill you. This is the whole, and we could talk for another 5 hours about this, because somebody trapping a bow hunter, which I am a bow hunter, I should be defending his right to trap to the death, while he's defending my right to bow hunt. And the falconer should be defending the guy to trap, the guy to bow hunt, the guy to rifle hunt. We should be defending each other. We should be holding the line against, the anti-hunting, because the anti-hunting community, they can say, like, it's like they infiltrate. They say, listen, you shooting a deer with a gun, that's more humane than these guys trapping over here. Team up with us to get the trapping ban because we think it's wrong. See the way it's struggling for its life. for 30 seconds and then it dies. You know what I'm saying? And they go, oh yeah, you're right. I'm just putting a hole through it. I'm just like, we are like our own worst enemy in the hunting community. We need to kind of stand together and push back against this crap all together. My personal opinion.
No, I agree.
That's a great place to wrap it up, gentlemen.
Yeah, dude.
Dude, I don't know how long. I don't know how long are your normal podcasts? They're curiosity. Is this a longer one?
We're about an hour past.
Bro, we are a free spirited podcast. We have open discussion. If somebody gets bored and doesn't want to listen, they don't necessarily have to. We're just we're talking about topics, and if you guys want to follow along and listen, that's why we're here. We're here to have these nuanced discussions and put stuff up in the air to talk about and topics that need to be broached.
We got to have you back on, Derik.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. You said you got to get up at 5. What do you, if you don't mind, what do you do for a living?
Me?
I'm a counselor.
I know you're a plumber. I know you're.
Yeah. Yeah.
You said you're a counselor, Aaron?
Yeah.
Cool.
It's really
I
about
assume you
my
went
commute.
to school for that?
Yeah, I'm a fellow educated master's degree holder.
Nice.
I'm just a dirty plumber over here.
A dirty plumber makes probably 3 times what my master's degree makes.
I do well, but anyway.
So, yeah, let's continue this another day. I would love to continue talking, but I literally
Me
can't.
too. Me too. Hell, if you told me, hey, for the next 5 Sundays at 8:30, we're gonna have a podcast.
There's got a lot of stuff.
Our viewers really like this crazy pig farmer.
Derek's got a lot of while he's putting the hay in there in the feed, he's got a lot of stuff going on in his mind. He's got to get off his chest.
I'm gonna be straight up.
I talk to animals all day.
Good. Yeah, this has been good, hasn't it, Casey?
Oh no, it's great. I love it.
I love talking to people that are passionate about the same thing as me. I could talk to you until you had to wake up at 5 o'clock if you really wanted to. I just like doing it because, like, for example, we all 3 of us have 3 completely different jobs, but we just had a phone conversation for 2.5 hours about something that we're all passionate about, and like I just think that's so cool how people may live different lives and have different professions, but if they all have the same interest, they just get along.
That's what's cool. That's the beauty of falconry, man. It's all different people with all different walks of life coming together.
Yep.
The jobs are just to feed the family and to support falconry.
100%.
Yeah. Feed the frenzy.
Yep. Feed the obsession. Feed the lifestyle.
Yep.
If a beef jerky company hasn't used that tagline for an ad, we definitely need to feed the frenzy. Be like Jack Link's feed the frenzy.
Or speaking of which, Derik, are you trying to move any cows? Do you want to plug your family farm? Whole cows, quarter cow, anything like that, or you don't care?
Yeah, we sell quarter halves and whole beef. Call and book your reservation. I guess that's pretty much because like every person is different. Like how you would want it cut up, and maybe how Aaron would be cut it up is 2 different things. I can get it. The person has to call me, and however they want their half or whole or quarter cut up, I can get it done.
You want to plug your
farm?
You want to? Yeah, go ahead, plug it.
Oh, Remley Farm. Sorry,
Derik. Thank you for coming on, man. We really appreciate you coming on, and we'll have you on again.
Anytime, man. I'm looking forward to it already.